KFM. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and Creed stan, Jake Bakoven.
I love that band, Creed.
Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Hold up.
Welcome into the On the Block show with normally Jake Bakoven and Eric Strickland, but leading it off today in the water cooler, it's going to be Big Sky and Nick Sainert. And then Eric Strickland will be joining me later on the block as I fill in for Jake Bakoven, who is out today. Nick, you got a couple a basketball game to call today and a basketball game to call tomorrow. Are you excited to get back in the play-by-play game after football season ended?
No, I'm pumped. Tonight we have Pius X and Lincoln Southwest. Many people, if they're thinking, oh, Nick went to Pius, that's why they're calling the game. No. First of all, it's going to be a really good game. Thunderbolts are 6-3 this year, while Southwest is 6-2. Southwest started the season 5-0, their best start in school history, actually. And I talked to head coach Alex Baugh yesterday, and he's like, listen, it's just we're doing the little things. We're preaching the little things, and the guys are following through and doing their job. And there's even a couple other interesting storylines that I'll be interested to follow tonight. Jared Boyer, who is actually one of the leading scorers for Pius X, is a transfer from Lincoln Southwest, and he's in his first season with the Thunderbolts. And what's interesting is Pius is 6-3, lost in the HAC final this last week, or I guess a week and a half ago or so, while Lincoln Southwest lost in the HAC semifinal to Lincoln Northeast in that same tournament. So it's going to be a really, really good game. 7:30 tonight is tip-off, and then tomorrow we have the rematch of the HAC final between Pius X and Lincoln Northeast. So a lot of exciting things. But yeah, no, I was able to sit down with both coaches for about 5 minutes, and you'll hear that pregame tonight before tip-off.
If there are any dunks, will we get a Yakadonga?
No, that is Buzzy's call, and I am going to let Buzzy keep that because I do not want to hurt that call. That's too good of a call for
no
me. No
catchphrase piracy here.
No, I don't think so, and I don't even know if I'm a big catchphrase guy.
You weren't dreaming about one last night?
No, I have not thought about, hey, what am I going to say when the first three goes in? I have not thought about that. We'll just see what happens, what feels natural, and
no bang. Long sustained.
No, see, I can't take. See, that's the crazy thing is I've grown up listening to like Kent Pavelka and Matt Coatney, who we were just talking to on Wednesday on my show, and it's like the you betcha or the bang or whatever like that. I can't do that. Or got it is Kent Pavelka, and I just can't do that. I don't do it. I don't want to try to do it because there's no way I'd be able to do it good enough.
Catchphrase watch will be on starting at 7:30.
Create the hashtag now. Yep. Create the hashtag
now. Catchphrase watch.
Yeah.
No, but what I actually wanted to talk to in the first segment here on the water cooler is which of the offseason departures for the Husker football squad created the biggest need for the Huskers going into next season? Was it center Cam Jurgens leaving for the draft early, creating a need at center? Was it wide receiver Samori Toure, your leading receiver, going to the NFL draft? You knew you only had him for a year, so it shouldn't have come as a surprise. Outside linebacker JoJo Domann working in a hybrid role, kind of a interesting player. Is going to be tough to replace.
Yeah.
Adrian Martinez, Cam Taylor-Britt, or Damian Daniels?
I would have to lean towards Adrian Martinez. And here's the thing, and we get this off the text line, Casey Thompson, Nebraska. We're going to continue getting these. Yes, they are real. Casey Thompson is coming to Nebraska. And here's why I think Adrian Martinez, though, back to your original question, Big Sky, was the biggest departure. Nebraska is a program, and I kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday. Nebraska is a program that is longing for stability. They're longing for consistent success. And despite Adrian Martinez winning or losing ball games and being the reason that you're winning or losing ball games, put that aside, the idea that Adrian Martinez was going to be out there every week kind of became a sense of comfort's not the right word, but just knowledge, knowing that Husker fans know what they're getting out of the quarterback. They know what to expect. They're not going to be surprised when Adrian Martinez escapes 3 sacks and 1 drop back, or Adrian Martinez fumbles the ball in the last possession of the game. They're not surprised. And when a program like this is longing for sustainability or stability, I should say, then he's gone. Nebraska fans, they know what they're doing. They're getting in Casey Thompson as the name. But until August 28th, when Nebraska plays Northwestern in Ireland, you don't know what Nebraska is going to get in quarterback. And let's be real, Big Sky. Even if Logan Smothers is the starter, or Chubba Purdy, or Heinrich Harburg, the story's going to be the same. You don't know what you're getting. And at the end of the day, you were a 3-win team, and you lost your staple of the offense that was out there every week, whether he had a broken jaw, whether he had a torn labrum, or a high ankle sprain. He was out there.
I mean, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going somewhere else with this, with my answer to this question. I'm going Cam Jurgens, same as the milkman on
He
the
would have been
text line.
second.
When you look at kind of what is successful in the Big Ten, and especially the Big Ten West, it seems like Wisconsin and Iowa and Minnesota, and you never really go into those games expecting the quarterback to beat you. You go in expecting their legacy and their program culture of having solid offensive line, solid running games is going to beat you, and it almost always does. If you have a solid offensive line, and Cam Jurgens is the focal point of a solid offensive line in Nebraska, if you can go across the line and say, we have Cam Jurgens, it's a big dude at center who knows his job.
Yeah.
He can finally snap correctly. That's gonna make the job a lot easier for a new starting quarterback. And if you look at Wisconsin and Iowa, they get new quarterbacks, but the level of production does not drop when they go to a new quarterback because the offensive line play does not drop. And so that's why I think losing your center that you've developed over the course of 3 years, losing him created a bigger need this offseason.
That's a really good point. With the offensive line, and Cam Jurgens would be second for me personally as well. Or just second, I suppose, since he's first for you. Who would be your number 2?
Well, Adrian Martinez.
Okay, so we're close, and my margin between the two is very slim. And here's something else: if we want to go the offensive lineman route and go with Cam Jurgens, you always talk about the running game and how Nebraska's had to go by committee, and part of that may be because of the offensive line not doing well enough there to open up holes for the running game, but also when we talk about running backs, nobody's taken the job. So that's hard for me to say that the running game would be much better if the offensive line was much improved, because you still need, it's a two-way street. You need your running back to take that job. And through 3, if you want to count Divine Ozigbo, through 3 years, nobody's taken that job. And you can even talk that in the first year when Divine Ozigbo was here, it was Greg Bell that was the starter from the staff. And they started Greg Bell. He did not start well. He ended up transferring like 2 games in, or leaving the program, I should say. And Divine Ozigbo then got his chance after starting 3rd on the depth chart at the start of the season. And so it would be interesting to see what this offensive line would look like with Cam Jurgens coming back. I was bummed when Cam Jurgens went to the draft. I was disappointed because the snap issues had finally been resolved. You didn't hear about them, right? You didn't hear about Cam Jurgens on the offensive line last year. And why? That's a good thing. That's a good thing when you're not hearing about offensive linemen, right? Because that means that they're just doing their job. You don't hear about any of the Iowa right guards or right tackles
until the draft.
You didn't hear about Tyler Linderbaum until it was award watch season and he won the Remington. You didn't hear about these guys because they're just doing their job. They're going out, they trust their training, they fall back on it, and they just do what's expected of them.
Well, and to further your point, which of the Alabama offensive linemen's name did you hear the most in their semifinal game against Cincinnati? It was Owens, number 76, and that's because he got 2 false start penalties and a holding penalty and gave up a sack on Bryce Young. So it's a guy who's not doing his job that you're hearing the most about. Yeah. So when you're an offensive lineman, the less talked about you are, the better you're probably performing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I would be hesitant. I'm curious to get your thoughts, Big Sky, because you and I haven't been able to talk about things publicly in a while. So I'm curious to what your thoughts are on the defense. I'm curious to gauge all your thoughts because they're going to have to replace some guys on defense, especially in that secondary. And it's a lot of unanswered questions and unproven talent because you lose a guy like Cam Taylor-Britt and you lose a guy like Markel and Deontay and now Nadab Joseph left, which was not a big loss in terms of talent, but in terms of depth. And you know how quick the injury bug can hit a room.
I think the defensive line is the I guess position group to watch, considering they lost not only Damian Daniels but Tuioti as well to Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
So losing your coach and then also probably your top performer at nose tackle there, that's going to be the position group that I'm watching closest going into the next year. And then also, as I mentioned, JoJo Domann is going to be a tough player to replace just because of the unique athleticism he brought to the position. Mm-hmm. He was the kind of player that could play, coverage, but he also would get in the backfield when you needed him to, it seemed. So defensive line is my number one concern. Linebacker, number two concern. Secondary, I have full faith in Travis Fisher. That dude has not really been someone to be concerned about at all in his time in Nebraska. So I think that with the guys he's been able to bring in and develop, secondary should be expected to be consistently there with zero drop off. Because you've got a guy like Noah Pola-Gates who's been in the program. He was in that second recruiting class, the 2019 class. Mm-hmm. He's been in Nebraska for 3 years now, and he's just getting his first opportunity, or should be just getting his first opportunity on defense this year. He's gotten a couple of chances in special teams, but
big special teams
defense is this year. So they have veteran depth pieces right now. So that I'm confident in the secondary.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would be interested in that. 402-464-5685. Honda Lincoln Hotline, Starter Heyman text line, both those open for you the entire day. All right, so we're getting a lot of Casey Thompson stuff, Big Sky.
Imagine that. I wonder why.
Do you want to talk Casey Thompson? And here's the thing. I want to debunk this first from Corey and Lincoln. Did you guys hear Nebraska got a new quarterback and a 5-star wide receiver that returned to kick and punt for a touchdown last season? So, personally, I don't want to talk about the rumors. I don't know if you've heard of Trey Palmer.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, Trey Palmer, former LSU guy, and the transfer portal. Mickey Joseph, obviously, there's a connection there. There's nothing official. There's nothing official quite yet.
I saw somebody found a Trey Palmer in the UNL student database, or
that seems like a common name.
Yeah,
and with no pictures in the student database at UNL. I just don't want to. I don't want to pull the trigger and say it's in. He's in until we get official word. So Casey Thompson is in. We know that. What are your immediate thoughts on Casey?
It seems like they got their third option in the portal. Miles Brennan was the name that everyone was hearing at the beginning. He doesn't end up at Nebraska, goes back to LSU. Then it seemed like they'd kind of zeroed in on Keaton Slovis. Mm-hmm. He ends up at Pitt. So it seems like Casey Thompson was kind of like the third option. And I discussed this with Bach a little bit yesterday, but it didn't seem like they ended up truly being able to improve the quarterback position in the way they wanted to. So I'm not sure it was worth going portal diving. Seems like they kind of got lost inside the void for a little while there, like Maurice Washington, who's now at Grambling State.
Yeah, that's right. That is interesting also. I don't know. I'm excited about Casey Thompson. Now I'm not ready to chalk up 9 wins next year. And you're going to hear me say that quite a bit throughout this offseason. I would be interested in seeing what this offense looks like. I think that's a big part to next season. Casey Thompson, though, 157 yards rushing all of last season. Now, part of that was a guy named Bijan Robinson behind him at running back at Texas. Another part would be that I would disagree. I would say that they did not get their third option. Right now, I think Nebraska got the best available thing out there.
They might have got the best available quarterback that's currently still in the portal, but it still seemed like this was plan C.
Well, Casey Thompson wasn't in the portal while Miles Brennan was. And so you have to remember that Casey Thompson was not officially in the portal. And I understand there's probably some back channels and things like that, but Casey Thompson was not in the portal quite yet. And I would agree. I would think that Casey Thompson is better than Miles Brennan. especially if they want to throw the ball a little bit more. Casey Thompson, 30 interceptions in it, or 30 touchdowns, excuse me. Boy, oh boy, that'd be bad. 30 touchdowns in his Texas career compared to only 9, or paired with 9 interceptions, 157 rushing yards total last season and 4 touchdowns. Well, they also had, I would like to see that paired with Mark Whipple. I would like to see that. And then you pair that with the wide receivers coach, Mickey Joseph now, and we still know kind of what they have in the wide receiver room, in the receiving room, in Omar Manning and Xavier Betts. We know the potential in that receiving room. And so I would actually, out of those 3 guys that we listed, Keaton Slovis, Miles Brennan, and Casey Thompson, I think they lucked out that they got Casey Thompson. And I think Nebraska as a team is lucky that Casey Thompson was available this late.
I think as a plan C, yes, Casey Thompson is a good get from the portal. And I'm just looking at it optically. Like, look at the optics of the situation. We knew that they were hot after Miles Brennan. Mm-hmm. And then we knew that they were after Slovis. And then eventually they land Casey Thompson. So just from the optics, it looks like they ended up with their third option. I am excited that Casey Thompson has multiple years available, or he's eligible for multiple years. Mm-hmm. So whereas Miles Brennan, he only has 1 year left. So they get Casey Thompson in. He can have a year of seasoning with Whipple. If it works out and we are able to win enough games that the staff is retained, we can get a year 2 of this quarterback. And then hopefully they've had enough time to recruit a guy or develop a guy in-house who can step in and run that offense the way that they need it to. So there is as little drop-off as possible. That's why it never really made sense to me to go after a guy who had 1 year of eligibility, because it seemed like a desperation move. It seemed like we know we need to win as many games as possible this year, but they weren't really planning for, if they did win that many games, what happens next.
Well, what's interesting is, and here's the thought that I kept going back to, was if they would have landed on solely Chubba Purdy, if they solely would have gotten Chubba Purdy, I would have been concerned. And Nebraska, just in general, they need results now. They don't have time to wait, right? They don't need potential. They need results. That's that's kind of something that came to my mind last night, was they can't invest in a guy that will work 3 years down the road. They don't have the time. So they need to get somebody that's a Power 5 guy, a Power 5 starter at this level, which would have been a Miles Brennan, which would have been a Keaton Slovis. And so in that regard, Nebraska is extremely lucky that they didn't have to solely get Chubba Purdy, that they got Casey Thompson as well. And that's where I think when you were looking before they got Casey Thompson at the list of names, that took out guys like Cameron Ward from Incarnate Word, was because Scott Frost, they don't have time to invest in a quarterback. They don't have time to invest in development, right? But in a guy like Casey Thompson, where if they do get a couple years now with Chubba Purdy before they need to play him, then the upside's a lot higher if they get to survive next season or the following season, if depending on the results.
I'd just like to clear something up, because it seems like on the text line people are perceiving that I'm saying Adrian Martinez is better than Casey Thompson. I have not said that. I've not really said if this was an upgrade or a downgrade. I'm just saying optically this offseason, once Adrian is in the portal and not at Nebraska anymore, it just seemed like they ended up with their plan C option in the portal. But I agree with Nick, and Casey Thompson is a very good get for this late in the portal and their situation as a coaching staff.
Here's an interesting question, and I don't even know what my answer would be, but is Casey Thompson better than Adrian?
I mean, I think you can look at...
Would he be a step up?
I think if you just want to compare stats straight across the board and not consider situation, conference, that sort of thing, you would say that the stats indicate that Casey Thompson is as good a quarterback, potentially as good a runner, and takes better care of the football as a younger player in the Big 12. But I'm not just going to go out here and pretend like the Big 12 is playing Big 10 defense and that he didn't have 5-star talent around him at Texas.
Well, and situations, right? I think a big part of this has been the situations that coaching staffs has put them in. And I'll be the first to admit, I didn't watch Texas enough last year to tell you the situations that Steve Sarkisian put Casey Thompson in. But I can tell you about the situations that Scott Frost or Matt Lubick, whoever was calling the plays, put Adrian Martinez in. And that was that they asked him to be Superman every single play. And that's been a big knock of this staff. And here's the thing, with Casey Thompson, he's going to be able to have much more success if they don't make him be the offense.
Well, that's why the offensive line is so crucial, because right now, Adrian Martinez had one more thing on his plate, which was, worrying about pressure. If they can figure out the offensive line, Casey Thompson's not going to have to, be constantly concerned about a defender in his face.
Yeah, that's a really good point. There's a lot of thoughts swirling. Like, you would hope that the idea with Casey Thompson coming here, that this coaching staff laid out a plan of what they wanted this offense to look like. And that gave Casey Thompson and his dad, Charles, who was a former quarterback at Oklahoma, gave them confidence in what Mark Whipple and Scott Frost are going into. Right.
I'd also like to touch on what you just mentioned right there. Charles Thompson, father of Casey Thompson, quarterback at OU.
I believe he was a quarterback at OU.
Yeah, he was. Wishbone quarterback at OU.
Thank you.
It shows that there is still a little bit of cachet from that old Nebraska legacy with recruiting. There's still a little bit of magic left in that. It still holds a little bit of weight in some of these old heads, some of these parents of recruits. So I guess that should give Husker fans a little bit of hope that if they can get it rolling again, that's going to spur in recruiting what we need it to.
Good point. That's a good point. I just think, going back to my comment, I know we got to take a break here in a second, but going back to my whole thought was, you hope that none of us have any idea what the offense is going to look like. So you hope that when they were talking to the staff, they laid out a plan. They gave Casey Thompson and his dad some confidence in where this thing is going, and that Mark Whipple has a good majority of what's going on, what happens in this offense. And I would feel better about the position that Casey Thompson is in if I knew that Scott Frost was taking that CEO approach. And that's not a knock on Scott Frost. That's more of that's just better coaching. That's just learning as a coach, being that CEO. That's just evolving as a coach, as a head coach at a place like Nebraska.
As we also get into hashtag catchphrase watch for Nick Sainer, maybe I think we should also check your Kool-Aid levels. It seems to be they're a little heightened today as Casey Thompson locks in his commitment to Nebraska.
I don't know if the Kool-Aid levels started. Let's see. Hold on. I got to go back on our text line.
Are you on a Kool-Aid IV right now, Nick?
No, because I don't think Casey Thompson gives you 6 more wins. I don't think Casey Thompson gives you 7 wins.
Maybe not in last year's schedule.
Do we want to have this schedule talk? Because we can have this schedule talk.
We can talk about it. We're going to go to a quick break here on the block with Big Sky and Nick Sainer. But we're going to get into a discussion about a question that Sip was asked in his mailbag column last week, and then apparently schedule talk as well. You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
You hear that? That's the sound of extremely tender and delicious beef from Certified Piedmontese. Prime grade tenderness with a fraction of the fat and calories of normal beef. It's Nebraska-raised product and the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. Change the way you buy beef today at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, just north of 84th and Havelock, or at cpmercado.com.
At Buffalo Wings and Rings, they've crafted a new league of superior chicken sandwiches. Meet the Ringers. It's premium, house-made, beer-battered, fried chicken served buffalo, Korean, or MVP style. Head to Buffalo Wings and Rings Lincoln and raise a glass to superior chicken. 2 locations at 68th and O and at 40th and Old Cheney. Buffalo Wings and Rings.
.93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 330 North 48th Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Security First Bank. We're the bank, and we make your mortgage more manageable with flexible terms, trusted advice, and competitive rates. When you work with us, we'll know your name, but we'll also get to know your home dreams too. Security First Bank of Lincoln. Voted best small bank in Nebraska by Newsweek magazine. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. NMLS number 505011.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides, shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Chilly conditions once again, although at least a little bit warmer compared to yesterday. We'll top out near 23. A little breezy, though. South winds could gust over 20. We'll drop to around 19 for the low tonight, but temperatures will steady some and should see a nice climb as we head into the start of the weekend, with tomorrow's high around 44. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill has been your go-to in South Lincoln for years, and their second location in downtown Lincoln is now open. Rosie's downtown spot is Lincoln's premier Nebraska party bar with the Sidetrack Band every Friday night of home games and all day for Nebraska home football games. With 34 TVs that are 65 inches or bigger, you'll always have a great view for all the games. Make sure to check out the new Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, now open in downtown Lincoln at 10th and P.
If you're struggling to get motivated to work out, you're not alone, and Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping is here to help. Build muscle, burn fat, and lose weight with Farrell's 10-week challenge starting January 8th, all for a chance to win $1,000. Farrell's combines kickboxing with inclusive strength training and nutrition planning to help you stay on track. Go to fxblincoln.com to sign up today. It's the Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-week challenge starting January 8th with 2 locations in Lincoln.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
Brokers Insurance Agency is currently hiring full-time and part-time insurance professionals. They will provide you with the training and education to obtain your insurance licenses. Brokers Insurance Agency takes pride in educating clients with the best insurance program to help their clients meet their specific goals. If you're a hardworking, motivated person and would like to discuss a great career opportunity with Brokers Insurance Agency, please call Ken Richards at 402-420-5353 or email service@brokersinsuranceagencyne.com. The team at Brokers Insurance Agency is looking forward to helping you get started with your insurance career.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into On the Block with Strick and Bach. It's Big Sky and Nick Sainert, actually. So a little switcheroo there.
Yeah. Do you remember the student section? No.
Yes, I do remember.
I knew
section.
you'd remember it, but I wonder if the people ever knew the student section.
Long live the student section.
Text in if you were ever part of the student section.
We had a couple people listening on Saturdays.
Sundays.
Oh, I don't even remember what happened.
Okay. Are you sure you remember the
yikes.
student section?
Big yikes.
Yowzers. That was funny. Okay.
Hey, we had some good interviews. We talked to a TikTok star who's no longer even on the pole vault team. He got cut.
Oh no, that's so sad.
Yeah, I was surprised because he was having a good off season, and then all of a sudden I just saw that he got cut, and I was like, "Yo, that's criminal."
Hey, Big Sky, how's post college life?
Post college life?
Yeah.
Well,
does it feel like you're out of college?
Well, no, because I still live with 2 people that are in college, and
okay.
We discussed this. I'm still considered a college student until the first semester that I'm not a college student starts.
So until the 18th.
Because then I'm officially not in college.
Interesting.
Or unless we want to count the pre-session that starts in a week.
Do you have your official diploma and everything?
Yeah, they handed it to me.
Did you get
right
it framed?
I did not get a frame. I thought about asking Santa for one. Santa did not get me one. But I have the little flippy bifold thing that UNL gave me, and it sits up. I have a little Nebraska shrine above my wardrobe.
Oh, interesting.
It's got Memorial Stadium, my diploma, and a candle. It's not a red candle, but a candle.
That's fantastic.
I also have a Tom Osborne signature that I need to get up over there. It's like it's a play. I don't know what play it is, but I got it.
Don't say that. Don't say that over the airwaves, man.
It says the play on the thing, so I don't want to get it wrong. But
Okay.
it's like the very official, like what they would have called in the huddle for it. Oh, we have Jason on the on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Jason, how are you today?
Pretty good. How are you Glory Boys doing?
What's up, Jason?
You know, I was one of the 3 or 4 Gringo Suaves that actually listened to that show in the mornings on Sunday.
Appreciate it big time.
I was surprised you guys did that live. I called one time and I was in shock. I thought, there's no way this is live. This has got to be like a Friday night, Saturday recorded show. But
No, it was
the Sane Train and Hair Dog Millionaire, the Montana Assassin, were actually live and actually awake and clear-thoughted or clear-minded.
Oh yeah, you know me.
To give a shout out to that show because it was pretty good.
Oh, appreciate
Thank
it,
you.
Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, student section, it's dead, but it lived for a while.
I mean, it's your fault because you worked too many hours, so we had to cut it. But it's all right. It's all right. We're talking schedule.
No, the student section, Big Sky. We had to come in on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m.
I loved it. I would just take a cold shower.
That didn't work for me.
You live close enough to the station. It's not an issue.
At the time, I did not live 30 seconds away from the station. Now I do.
So what I'm hearing is there's nothing holding the student section back.
No, there's a couple things.
There's nothing holding it back.
There's a couple things.
Nothing holding it back.
Okay, so schedule.
Yes.
402-464-5685. What are your thoughts on the schedule? Big Sky, we can't use the schedule excuse of why next season's going to be successful.
I'm not using that as an
I know
excuse.
you're
I
not.
just said that no, Casey Thompson wouldn't have been worth 6 more wins this year, but this year was a very difficult schedule. Playing the best 3 teams from the Big Ten East is always going to be a tall order. And next year, just on the fact that they don't have to play the 3 most difficult crossover games in the conference, it should be an easier schedule. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's going like I'm a Big Ten is the best conference truther. All right. I hate the SEC people that are like, we have Georgia and Bama GTFO. That's not how you build a conference. Big Ten, top to bottom, tough conference. It's always going to be difficult to beat a Big Ten team. But just on the fact that you don't have to play the 3 best teams in the Big Ten East, it's going to be an easier time next year.
Yeah, it's hard for me. It's going to be easier, but in terms of finding your way to Indianapolis, it's going to be tough, like it is every year. And how it's kind of sad to say that it's going to be tough because when you look around at the Big Ten West in that division, you don't get overly excited as just a college football fan, right? And Bach would say, well, yeah, I love Iowa and things like that. And that kind of football can be fun to watch, but the teams aren't that exciting. You have Iowa that you know what they have at running back, and then Spencer Petras, right? And a strong defense, which Riley Moss, the big-time defensive back, is returning for another year. But you know what you're getting there. It's just kind of that boring, run up the middle, then play action to Sam Laporta down the field, and it works every time. And then you have the similar thing with Wisconsin. There's not a lot of glitz and glamour when you look at the Big Ten West. So it's hard to figure out and remind yourself every single year going in saying Nebraska isn't able to beat these teams. Nebraska still can't get over that hump of beating Purdue consistently and beating anybody else. Northwestern, right? Because Northwestern, they were bad this year, and you said it, Big Sky. They're going to be good next year, and it's like every single year.
Well, I mean, I hate using because Purdue, I think, has the perception of a doormat, but they are a tough out for everyone in the conference. They beat 2 top 5 teams this year. They beat Michigan State and Iowa. Everybody has trouble beating Purdue, and that's because anyone in the Big Ten can beat anyone else in the Big Ten any given week. It's a well-coached conference with players who play hard with it's a conference that I don't feel is ever controlled by one team just simply because it's so wide open.
Is there a doormat of the Big Ten West?
It's Nebraska.
Doormat of the Big Ten Conference?
I don't think there's a doormat across the board. If you're looking for a doormat, you'll find a doormat, but I don't think there's anyone, because Nebraska was a tough out this year as well. So you can't really say that they were a doormat.
Okay, good point. How do you feel about the whole close discussion, Big Sky? What are your thoughts on the one-score losses? Because have you seen those graphics? I talked about it by myself yesterday on my show about these one-score losses, and this graphic from Pick Six just came out the other day and said, if they reverse the scores, Nebraska's 11-1.
I had seen that earlier.
What are your thoughts on the one score?
Somebody ran those numbers on Reddit like a month ago, and I saw it on the college football Reddit. And you're just going to drive yourself crazy with that stuff because it didn't happen. So don't pretend like it did. Don't create a fantasy world where Nebraska scored one more point in every one more touchdown in every game.
Yeah.
To beat all these teams, because I think you can go back in the history of time and do that. And if you did that, Nebraska probably wouldn't have won 4 national championships in 3 years, or they dominated every single one of those years. So maybe not, but it's not on. You're not being honest with yourself if you go and play those games. And so I hate the close discussion, because a loss is a loss. And we're going to look back at this season in 5 years, and we're not going to go, oh, but all of those were one score or single digit losses. We're going to look at it and be like, wow, they lost 9 games.
Well, and part of me is like, that was kind of my thought yesterday, is the farther that we get away from, or we remove ourselves from that Iowa game on Black Friday, the less excited or glamorous they look, the one score losses look.
Right. And if those one score games, and somebody said, well, if we just flipped them all, Nebraska would be 3-9.
Yeah.
You would be like, oh, that doesn't matter because we still won them. So why does it suddenly matter in a close discussion simply because they were losses?
Bingo. Yeah, I just am curious what your thoughts were on that whole thought, or that whole idea of flip the one scores and Nebraska's 11-1. So I was genuinely curious, because a lot of people are using that, and I'm not saying even the fan base is using that, but I keep going back to this whole thing. It's not an effort thing, but at some point it needs to stop being about progress and start being about wins and losses.
Well, not progress. It needs to be results now.
We're
in the results.
Yeah.
The first 3 years of a rebuild should be about seeing progress. And now we're in year 4 and 5. It needs to be like we're seeing results.
And that's something really interesting that came up on me and Rico's show one day, was that year 6 rebuild, 6-year rebuild thought. And that's my whole thing, is it's not waiting until year 5 to make a bowl game. It's waiting until year 8 to make the national championship, or it's waiting until year 4 to make a bowl game, or even year 3, right? Because the expectation in Nebraska was year 2.
Right.
And then that got moved back to year 4. And now here we are at year 5 saying it's do or die. But is it really? Because you kept moving it back.
Right. And there was a text on the text line yesterday when I was on the show with Bach, and it said, who's going to come to Nebraska? Answer this. Who's going to come to Nebraska if they know taking this job that they only have 4 years? And I said, well, that's not true. You have 4 years if you lose at the level that they're losing right now. You have way more time if you can show progress and actually win games, make bowl games, and work up and actually have a natural flow of a rebuild.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are looking at Harbaugh and thinking he came in at the same time as Scott Frost. He's in his 7th year already, and they were competitive every other year he was there.
Yeah, it just looked worse than it was because they couldn't beat Ohio State.
Exactly.
And in Michigan, in a place like Michigan, and you guys know this, beating Ohio State at Michigan. And so that's a really good point. And that natural process of building a program back up. I never thought about that. You can't, it's kind of ridiculous or unrealistic to expect a program to just flip on a dime.
Right.
But with that being said, it's very important not to change standards and not to expect less just because the product isn't strong enough. Well, I think that's very important as well.
I think it's okay to change your standard after a certain level of time, because obviously the standard at one point in Nebraska was national championship, and that should still be the ultimate end goal of a rebuild. But the speed at which that happens can be adjusted. I think the goal for Frost should still be a national championship, or whoever comes in after Frost, if he is fired should be a national championship. But I think Nebraska fans can have a little bit more of a realistic wait time on that.
That's okay. Time out though. Do you think that the actual expectation or end goal right now, they're thinking about national championship?
I don't think you can think that far ahead right now. If you're Scott
Yeah.
Frost and company, I think Nebraska fans, we can think about that being the ultimate end goal and what the program should be building towards. But for Frost and company, it's absolutely winning enough to keep their jobs for another year.
Yeah, which is really interesting. That's a whole other topic in itself because you don't know the number. There's no number, and I don't think you should put a number.
Do you have you put a number on it in your mind that you would demand if you were Trev Alberts?
Here I was just a second ago saying you can't expect a program to flip on a dime. But next year this is where it gets so confusing because that whole thought of you have to continue building that program and see where that program should be in year 5 under a staff. And especially when you look back and say that you stuck with the same quarterback for 4 years. It's hard for me not to say if I take a step back and look at this program and just see, all right, in year 5 at a place like Nebraska in a division like the Big Ten West, all right, you should have at least 7-8 wins.
You can't expect a program to flip on a dime. You can't expect that in year 1 or 2 of Frost, but we're not expecting him to flip it overnight here. We're expecting a reasonable year 5 performance. This is a justifiable year 5 performance. I'd say what would have been realistic when he came in was 10 wins. Now, because of what we've seen, it should be like 7 to 8 wins.
And I think that's enough to keep him. I really do. I think
you can because that's not the worst bowl game a Big Ten team will play in, and it's the best season you've had since you fired Bo Pelini.
Here's an interesting point or thought. Do you judge where the conference is at when making a decision about Scott Frost?
No, because the Big Ten is still the Big Ten. If everyone's having a down year, it shouldn't go against a coach. Because
think about this: if the whole Big Ten West is having a bad year and Nebraska goes 4-8,
well, he should be fired anyway after 4-8. It doesn't really matter what everyone's doing in the conference.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah, good point.
All right, we're gonna go to break. I want to get to this question asked in Steve Sipple's mailbag on the Lincoln Journal-Star. When we come back, it's about Fred Hoiberg and Husker hoops, but you're listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill has been your go-to in South Lincoln for years, and their second location in downtown Lincoln is now open. Rosie's downtown spot is Lincoln's premier Nebraska party bar with the Sidetrack Band every Friday night of home games and all day for Nebraska home football games. With 34 TVs that are 65 inches or bigger, you'll always have a great view for all the games. Make sure to check out the new Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, now open in downtown Lincoln at 10th and P.
Is our internet down again? That's the question you hear around the office when you experience an outage with outdated communication services. Allo knows businesses need reliable internet to keep everything moving. This is why Tammy Stevenson of the Bridge Behavioral Health switched to Allo.
Expedient and reliable service is critical because we provide care to our clients 24/7. We're just very, very appreciative of Allo service.
To get a free quote, switch today. Visit allofiber.com/workfast or call 402-480-6685.
You hear that? That's the sound of extremely tender and delicious beef from certified Piedmontese. Prime grade tenderness with a fraction of the fat and calories of normal beef. It's Nebraska-raised product and the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. Change the way you buy beef today at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, just north of 84th and Havelock, or at cpmercado.com.
If you're struggling to get motivated to work out, you're not alone, and Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping is here to help. Build muscle, burn fat, and lose weight with Farrell's 10-week challenge, starting January 8th, all for a chance to win $1,000. Farrell's combines kickboxing with inclusive strength training and nutrition planning to help you stay on track. Go to fxblincoln.com to sign up today. It's the Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-week challenge, starting January 8th, with 2 locations in Lincoln.
Brokers Insurance Agency is currently hiring full-time and part-time insurance professionals. They will provide you with the training and education to obtain your insurance licenses. Brokers Insurance Agency takes pride in educating clients with the best insurance program to help their clients meet their specific goals. A hardworking, motivated person and would like to discuss a great career opportunity with Brokers Insurance Agency, please call Ken Richards at 402-420-5353 or email service@brokersinsuranceagencyne.com. The team at Brokers Insurance Agency is looking forward to helping you get started with your insurance career.
Security First Bank. We're the bank, and we make your mortgage more manageable with flexible terms, trusted advice, and competitive rates. When you work with us, we'll know your name, but we'll also get to know your home dreams too. Security First Bank of Lincoln. Voted best small bank in Nebraska by Newsweek magazine. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides, shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
Casey's General Store is giving you the chance at winning 2 free tickets to a Nebraska home basketball game this season. Stop by any Casey's location in Lincoln throughout basketball season, enter your name into the registration box, and you'll have a chance to win 2 tickets to an upcoming Nebraska basketball game. Every drawing will occur at least 24 hours before the game that has its selected winner. So make sure to get to any Casey's in Lincoln today for your chance at 2 free tickets for Nebraska men's basketball games.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into On the Block with Big Sky and Nick Sainert as we round out the first hour here. Someone asked Steven Sipple in his mailbag on the Lincoln Journal-Star if Fred Hoiberg can survive an Ofer in the conference play this year. And we're not Steven Sipple, but we're going to answer the question.
Yikes.
And I think the first question is Hoiberg's seat already that hot?
I don't think it's that hot. I think it's hot.
I would agree it's hot, but it just feels like it's a little early to fire him already.
I don't know, man. An Ofer. He's 29 and 54. No, he's not. Just kidding. Yeah, man. I don't know. I think an Ofer would feel pretty crappy. Think about that. The expectations that were coming in, that were being talked about coming in, not only from us, me personally, I should say, not us, me, from me and some of the other guys I've talked to, but then also what we've heard from them. An Ofer. I don't care how good the Big Ten is. Yeah, I think you have to.
Sipple didn't really answer the question. He responded by saying that he thinks Nebraska is going to win at least 7 games in conference, including tomorrow against Rutgers.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would be tough for everyone to swallow an Ofer, like you said. But I don't know if that's enough. Trev seems willing to be patient. And it is still very early in Fred's tenure. And he does, for, results on the court aside, it just seems like it's headed in the right direction.
Yes, results aside, the recruiting's gotten better.
And I think another thing in play here is that he has had very little carryover season to season with his roster. He's not really been able to roll with the same core group of guys more than a year.
Well, here's a question to that. Who does that fall on?
I think it's obviously definitely a little bit on Fred, but also just the kind of the culture of basketball right now and the fact that he needed to come in and build a team in the Big Ten right away, and maybe some of those guys didn't pan out the way he needed them to, so he kept building, and guys didn't want to stay when they didn't have a guaranteed job anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense, I suppose. At some point, Nebraska, I don't know how sustainable it is to live out of the transfer portal every single time, every single year. I don't know how sustainable that is. I don't know, Big Sky, think about it. I have a tough time thinking it's too early right now to move on if they go all the way drastically like an Ofer in conference play. Because in college basketball today, and this has been something that I've said not only on the station, but just it's been a common thought, is that it doesn't take 6 years to turn around a college basketball program. It doesn't. It takes a couple star guys and a couple things to fall your way. And that's where I think that's why there were so many higher expectations going into this season, because you get a guy like Bryce McGowens, you have transfers, high profile transfers like CJ Wilcher, like Alonzo Verge, and Derek Walker's come in and really played well. I would like to add that he's really been shining. But I think a bigger thing that Nebraska fans have found out, and maybe you can include the staff, is that you can't just throw athletes on a floor. I think that's a big thing that gets overlooked, is you can't just throw the best athletes on the floor and expect it to work out. We're seeing it with on and off ball handlers. We're seeing it with guys like Alonzo Verge, where it's been better, but it did not start out well. We saw it with like a Delano Banton. You couldn't ask a guy like Delano Banton to be your top scorer every night, because that's just not him. That's just not him. And you can relate it to football or basketball or any other sport, baseball, softball, anything. It all goes back to putting the players in positions to succeed. And you wonder, when you go ask Delano Banton to shoot a three, if that's really putting him in a place to succeed. Or maybe it's not even the coaches putting him in that position. It's the players deciding that that's a good quality shot, in my eyes.
Well, it just seems like just last month people were clowning Steven Sipple for writing an article that said that the expectation should be the same for Fred Hoiberg and Scott Frost, and that they should be kind of neck and neck as Jake Sorensen tries to peek over the logo board over there. And they said absolutely not. I mean, Fred Hoiberg should not have the same expectations, and now it seems like the exact same expectation is being put on Fred Hoiberg as was put on Scott Frost.
I don't know. I just feel like there's been a lot of when you look at this, the non-conference, and take conference out of this basketball program, they haven't done well in the non-con. And their schedules, if you want to talk about schedules, haven't been ultimately difficult in non-con. They lost against Western Illinois this year. They've always lost. There's always, and we've had those discussions on my show, there's always been those thoughts of they always lose a bye game. They always lose a game that you sit there the night before and say, yep, Nebraska should have no problem with these guys. Zero problem with them. And then you get there and you're 3 minutes left in the game and you're down by 10 or down by 8, and you're biting your fingernails like, how is Nebraska losing this game? It seems like it's the same thing over and over, where we get a big recruiting class, or not big recruiting class, a recruiting class that is defined as shooters that don't pan out. And then you wonder, that brings on the conversation of assessing talent and identifying talent. And then you can ask, when Lat Mayen came here, let's just say Lat Mayen, right? Came here in the article. And the only reason I know this is because I looked it up a couple days ago. Lat Mayen comes in, it talks about rebounding, and it talks about shooting from the perimeter. Right now, Lat Mayen is not playing well. And he's still one of Nebraska's 5 best options to put out there as starter. And so you wonder where's the disconnect? Why aren't things panning out? And in year 3, in a college basketball program with the facilities like Nebraska has, yes, they don't have the tradition, but with the facilities, when you talk about recruiting, talk about the facilities, Nebraska shouldn't be losing these games. Again, Miles was, right? And you wonder, was it the right choice to get rid of Tim Miles at that point?
Well, I think you look at it, and it was a very similar situation as Bo Pelini was in 2014. You kind of feel the feeling around the fan base is that the ceiling had been reached. There was an ability to move upward, but just with not with this coach. He'd gotten you to a good point in your program, and now you just needed a new guy to push it a little bit further, and they didn't get the right guy then. So maybe Fred Hoiberg isn't the right guy to take this basketball program to the next level, but I don't think I think it would be a little bit quick and a little bit off-brand for Nebraska to fire a basketball coach after 3 years because he struggled to find success right out of the gate.
Here's what I'll say when it comes to college basketball, and I look around the country and I look at whether or not it would be too early to let go of a coach, any coach, whether it's Fred Hoiberg, whether it's not Fred Hoiberg, whether it's at Nebraska or not. I look at like a place like Iowa State. Okay. They bring in a guy in TJ Otzelberger from UNLV last year. And in his first year, they're 13-1, something like that. They are a top, let me look up, Iowa State basketball. They just beat Texas Tech, a ranked Texas Tech team. They are 11th in the country. And they, let me get this. I'm going to get this, their record. Big 12. They are 11th in the country and 13-1 overall. Their one loss is to number 1 Baylor by 5 points. They've beaten, they played Kennesaw State. They beat Kennesaw, Xavier on the road at Memphis. They won at Creighton by 8. They beat Iowa by 20. There are ways that you can build a program in a quick amount of time and still find success if you find the right guy.
Well, you can't turn around a program overnight, as Nick Sainert said when we were discussing football. We'll end.
Football and basketball are different, though, Big Sky. You can't turn around a football program. You're dealing with 80-some guys on a football program, and you're dealing with 14 on a basketball program. There's a lot of different things with football and basketball. I'm not saying you should expect a year turnaround, but I'm saying it's a lot easier to build progress quicker on a college basketball program than on a college football program.
All right, Nick. All right. Nick wants Fred Hoiberg's head, and he is not ready to change his mind about it. Apparently, I'll get him there eventually. We haven't been able to talk very much, but we'll end the first hour here. Strick on the other side here on the block with Strick and Bach. You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
You hear that? That's the sound of extremely tender and delicious beef from Certified Piedmontese. Prime grade tenderness with a fraction of the fat of normal beef. It's Nebraska-raised product and the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. Change the way you buy beef today at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, just north of 84th and Havelock, or at cpmercado.com.
If you're struggling to get motivated to work out, you're not alone, and Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping is here to help. Build muscle, burn fat, and lose weight with Farrell's 10-week challenge starting January 8th, all for a chance to win $1,000. Farrell's combines kickboxing with inclusive strength training and nutrition planning to help you stay on track. Go to fxblincoln.com to sign up today. It's the Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-week challenge starting January 8th with 2 locations in Lincoln.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
Ed Orgeron joins us. You have told me before you have a genuine fondness for the state of Nebraska. Why is that?
I always liked Nebraska. Growing up, watching Nebraska, Monty Kiffin, Tom Osborne, the great teams there. I just always liked Nebraska. I just think it's a great school, great state, great football, tough, hard-nosed football players.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
Security First Bank. We're the bank, and we make your mortgage more manageable with flexible terms, trusted advice, and competitive rates. When you work with us, we'll know your name, but we'll also get to know your home dreams too. Security First Bank of Lincoln. Voted best small bank in Nebraska by Newsweek magazine. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. NMLS number 505011.
Hey guys, it's Nicole Griffith from Ticket Weeknights. Join me this Monday, January 10th at Upside Bar and Lounge as we're broadcasting live and on location. They'll have the national championship game between Alabama and Georgia up on all the TVs. And of course, Monday night is taco night at Upside. 50-cent hard shells, $1 soft shell, and $3 house-made margaritas while you watch the big game. It's Ticket Weeknights with me, Nicole Griffith, live from Upside Bar and Lounge at 27th and Pine Lake this Monday, January 10th from 6 to 8 p.m.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides. Shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
Brokers Insurance Agency is currently hiring full-time and part-time insurance professionals. They will provide you with the training and education to obtain your insurance licenses. Brokers Insurance Agency takes pride in educating clients with the best insurance program to help their clients meet their specific goals. If you're a hard-working, motivated person and would like to discuss a great career opportunity with Brokers Insurance Agency, please call Ken Richards at 402-420-5353 or email service@brokersinsuranceagencyne.com. The team at Brokers Insurance Agency is looking forward to helping you get started with your insurance career.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and lover of bread, Jake Bockelman.
What? I like bread.
Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Hold up.
Welcome back into On the Block with Strick and Bach. I'm Big Sky in for Bach today. I do not love bread as much as Bach. That is Rico is shaking his head on the other side of the glass.
Adjust your.
I will.
Yeah, because you're a handsome dude. We got to make sure we see all of you, Big Sky. You know what I mean? There's a lot of you. You're the start of where the Missouri River starts, baby. It's
There you
all
go.
big.
How's that?
What's going on, Big Sky?
I'm just excited to talk to Eric Strickland a little bit today. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. It's definitely good to see you. We're definitely missing Bach right now. We're just praying for him and his family, and I think his wife has come down with COVID. So we'll look forward to seeing him again, but also for him to be okay, him and his family, during this season. So it's really tough. A lot of people, it's the winter season. It's nothing different than, what we normally would deal with cold and flu season. So this is now the COVID 19 has become a part of our, everyday living now. So.
Yeah, I for sure relate to Bach. I had a bit of a COVID scare at the beginning of the week myself, ended up getting influenza A. So just any illness right now is a little bit alarming.
Yeah, you just don't know. You just don't know these days. But you got to get tested for all of it these days. You used to just be like, oh, is it a cold? Is it this? You got to get it all these days. So.
Yeah, can never be too careful right now.
Yeah, we have a wonderful show today, Big Sky. We've got a lot to talk about. I think we know we've got a couple of games that are coming up for the Huskers. The Husker men are playing tomorrow at 1, and then the women are playing at Sunday. So we've talked a lot about that over the last few days. I think we've got a big weekend, coming up. What we got going on today in the show?
Today in the show, we have NFL playoff clinching scenarios this weekend, kind of how teams will be seeded depending on the different results this weekend. Our top 10 teams going into the playoff. We're also going to talk about COVID and the 10-day contracts. I read an article on ESPN, and it's kind of been a little bit insane for a lot of NBA players over the last month or so. The Knicks and the Celtics had a epic battle last night. Then Kyle Lowry probably got the most soft technical foul I've ever seen in my entire life last night. So I'm going to ask you about that, Strick, when we get there.
I got one for you, and you won't be surprised at who gave it to me. But he's not reffing anymore, but you'll understand when we dig into it. You'll understand he's capable of giving those when we talk about it.
All right. So let's start off with the NFL playoff scenarios. We have 4 teams battling it out for the final 4 spots in the AFC playoffs: Colts, Chargers, Raiders, and Steelers. Colts have been a dangerous team, and I love the Chargers. I love what they bring each week, but it's going to be weird not seeing any of these 4 teams in the playoffs. So the fact that they're all battling for 2 spots, I think I said final 4, but they're battling for the final 2 spots in the AFC. It's going to be weird.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, the AFC right now is definitely still energetic. It's still a lot of things that can happen. I think this is the first time in NFL history that the regular season is going to an 18th week, right? So with that, it's bringing a lot of excitement. It's bringing a lot of just anticipation. People are biting their fingers, wondering if they're going to get in. And so there's still plenty to decide this weekend before the playoffs get underway in the following week, right? As you said, there, 3 of the 14 postseason berths are still up for grabs, as well as, 2 division titles. The AFC East is still up for grabs. The NFC East is still up to West. The NFC West is still up to grabs. So there's a ton of teams that, right now have a luxury of resting some starters, but at the same time, there's some that saying we can't take a rest. And that's something we talked about in some of the former shows, Big Sky, is that we talked about, is it worth it? And I'm not talking about just football. I'm talking about in any sport. Is it something that most players, and I'll ask you because you're now here as opposed to Bach, but is it something that most teams would want to do? Because if you rest players, sometimes, it can kind of, throw you off a little bit. It can kind of throw your timing off. Yeah, that rest is pretty good, but sometimes you want to go into a playoff game, wherever that is, or if it's at home or on the road, or if you get the bye or you don't, then you want to go in it kind of hot. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree that if you can enter the playoffs kind of on an upward tick where you're getting guys healthy and you want to get them in there and get some reps, get some live action again, like a Derrick Henry in Tennessee, I think it would probably be advantageous for him to play this week as opposed to sitting out so he can lock up that number 1 seed and get him an extra week of rest, a bye week, but also get him some live reps. But if you look at a team like Green Bay and they have a star quarterback like Aaron Rodgers who's dealing with a toe injury and hasn't really been practicing all year to avoid putting any unnecessary strain on that foot, that's a guy that you would kind of want, you'd think would be primed to sit out. But me being a Packers fan, I've seen in the past, they rest guys after locking up a first week bye in the playoffs and they come out flat the next week and it ultimately ends in them, playing golf a little bit earlier in the offseason than they would have liked to. So I completely a case by case basis. And I think it's more difficult depending on the position as well. So if you're playing a maybe running back position where it's very similar no matter which age group you're at or which level of play you're at, just how hard you get hit and maybe some of your blocking assignments change. I think that's an easier position to sit out, and you might want to avoid putting a little too much tread on those tires before the playoffs. But quarterback, that's kind of a timing thing. You really have to have a feel for the game. So I don't think it's as smart to sit a quarterback as it would be to maybe a running back or a linebacker.
Yeah, I think when you come to trying to rest somebody, I think the goal of it is to really go out and own the game, right? If it's a challenging game, as we are about to get into, then it can be something that you want to get the advantage, right? So, for example, there like you said, there are some positions, there are some individuals that you may be able to sit. You may be able to give a Pollard more of a look as opposed to like the Cowboys have that luxury to do that, to allow Pollard to step in and fill that void. So that's the thing that I look at it from. Like, for example, you're looking at the AFC right now, and I think we'll start there. We'll get into the AFC. Right now, as it looks in the AFC, you have the bye position with the Titans at 11-5, and then second is the Kansas City Chiefs, who then would end up, as it looks right now, this is all as it looks right now, would face the Chargers at the number 7 seed. The number 3 seed Cincinnati Bengals would face at 10-6, would face the number 6 Indianapolis Colts at 9-7. And then the Buffalo Bills at the 4 seed at 10-6 would face the New England Patriots. I think that would be a phenomenal matchup to start if that does remain. But then you still have in the hunt a 9-7 Las Vegas Raiders. The Pittsburgh Steelers are still in the mix, and as well as the Baltimore Ravens, who I think they play this upcoming to try to get into that wild card position. So there are 4 teams that can still, literally 4 teams that can still end up being the number one seed in the AFC. And I think that's crazy. The Titans, the Chiefs, the Bengals, and the Patriots all have a chance at jumping into that AFC top slot. So what do you think? How do you think it's going to fare based on the matchups this weekend coming up?
Well, you look at those matchups that you just laid out, and that's why the NFL went to this 17 playoff format, because Chiefs Chargers, both those two teams split in the regular season, so that's going to be a great matchup. Both the Patriots and the Bills split their matchups in the regular season. I can't remember who you said the Bengals were matching up against, but
the Bengals got the Colts right now,
okay,
as it looks.
The Bengals are a very, very hot team, and so are the Colts. So you get really interesting matchups with the 17 playoff format. And I think you're ultimately going to see the teams with the biggest weaknesses not make the playoffs. And I think that's a team like the Steelers. They've all season kind of been winning in spite of Big Ben and that offense. So I think they're going to be the team left kind of holding the bag, watching the playoffs at home.
Yeah, so here's how the outlook looks at this particular point. The Titans can clinch the first round bye and home field advantage through the conference playoffs with a road win over the Texans on Sunday. They would also end up with the top spot if the Chiefs, the Bengals, and the Patriots all lose, or if Kansas City and the Cincinnati Bengals both lose and Buffalo wins. So that would give the Titans the upper hand all the way through the playoffs. The Chiefs can clinch the number one seed with a road win over the Broncos on Saturdays and a Titans loss. The Bengals need to beat the Browns on the road on Sunday, and then they have to have the Titans and the Chiefs also both lose. And along with either the Patriots or the Bills, the Patriots loss or the Bills win. So that's kind of how crazy it is. I mean, it's so many things. It's like a toss-up. It's a juggle. And that's why I think there's an importance sometimes. I don't think those guys have the luxury of basically taking an L. Right? Would you agree?
Every game is valuable right now.
I think so.
The only team that can afford a loss is the Green Bay Packers because they've already clinched their number one seed in the NFC. So everyone else, a win is only going to help you. So the luxury of resting players is not really out there for many other teams. So
yeah,
I wouldn't be very aggressive resting players this week if you don't have your seed locked up already, because you can never have too many wins in a season. So that's just where I'm going to fall there.
Well, the Steelers are kind of the Ravens really have the worst opportunity of getting in. The Steelers basically have to go on. They have to go on to beat the Ravens on the road on Sunday, and they have to have the Colts to lose to the Jags. And I don't know. I mean, I think the Jags may be looking for some draft positions to try to bolster some of the trouble that they have down there in Jacksonville, but. So I don't foresee them just, their players coming out. Like you said, they may be gone fishing already. They may have already checked out. So, it may not look as good for the Steelers, but go ahead.
Every time I've talked to a football player at any level, no matter how bad your season has gone, I don't think you ever just give up on a game. You want to win every game you play. So I don't know if the Jacksonville Jaguars are already, in the offseason mentally. I think that they could be a surprising, and it's a division matchup.
Good
so
point.
you're looking to not get swept by a division matchup. Or a division rival. You can spoil their season, send them home from the playoffs. I think the Jags have plenty to play for this weekend. I wouldn't write them off just yet.
I love that. That's a great point. I know from a basketball standpoint, I've been there where guys literally have checked out. And they're already on the next thing smoking, to the island somewhere. So, maybe I'm just taking it a little biased from that perspective and think that maybe football. But, yeah, they have pride, though. You know what I mean? They have pride. And so there's definitely a difference there. When we come back from a break, we'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll look at the NFC, the picture and some of the scenarios there. And then after that, we'll jump in and give kind of what we think about our top 10 teams that are going into the playoffs in the upcoming playoff season. So we'll take a break right now. I'm Eric Strickland, Strick, and that is Big Sky. We'll be right back here on 93.7 theticketfm.com.
You hear that? That's the sound of extremely tender and delicious beef from Certified Piedmontese. Prime grade tenderness with a fraction of the fat and calories of normal beef. It's Nebraska-raised product and the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. Change the way you buy beef today at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, just north of 84th and Havelock, or at cpmercado.com.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they're hiring for production operators at $21.72 an hour and other select jobs starting at $23.42 an hour, with wages growing up to $27.55 an hour. Continental also has salary jobs available with great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljob.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric always makes safety a top priority for our home and office. In under just 1 hour, their team installed the state-of-the-art air scrubber system directly into our existing HVAC ductwork. This technology purifies the air and reduces exposure to common bacteria and viruses, creating a safer breathing environment for my family. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides. Shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
Is our internet down again? That's the question you hear around the office when you experience an outage with outdated communication services. Allo knows businesses need reliable internet to keep everything moving. This is why Tammy Stevenson of the Bridge Behavioral Health switched to Allo.
Expedient and reliable service is critical because we provide care to our clients 24/7. We're just very, very appreciative of Allo service.
To get a free quote, switch today. Visit allofiber.com/workfast or call 402-480-6685.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too, and that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more. When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it. We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors. Whether they are in the mountains of New Mexico, the plains of Nebraska and Kansas, the ranches of Oklahoma and Texas, the farmlands of Missouri and Arkansas, or the bayous of Louisiana, we are here for our hometowns. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
Our public school teachers want every child to learn, grow, and succeed. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the NSEA. School's in session, and it's key to build a partnership with your child's teacher. Visit with them and ask for an overview of your child's strengths and areas for growth. Ask for recommendations for activities and opportunities so you can work with your child to harness their strengths and address their challenges.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association on this station.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Chilly conditions once again, although at least a little bit warmer compared to yesterday. We'll top out near 23. A little breezy, though. South winds could gust over 20. We'll drop to around 19 for the low tonight, but temperatures will steady some and should see a nice climb as we head into the start of the weekend, with tomorrow's high around 44. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
Why are we getting killed like this?
Kyle's not here. Got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah. 0 tolerance. He's out for the season.
Harsh.
Hey, he knew not to drink. We've made that clear to all of our kids, right?
No, not really.
Bill, if we don't tell them what we expect and why they shouldn't drink, how are they going to know?
Sponsored by SAMHSA and Nebraska DHHS. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into On the Block with Strick and Bach, filling in for Jake Bachoven, Big Sky today. In the last segment, we talked about some of the AFC or NFL clinching scenarios for the playoffs this year and kind of the teams you were watching closely. Strick, you wanted to get into the AFC during this next segment.
Or the NFC. We did. Yeah, we covered the AFC. We want to talk about the NFC right now. Let's jump into it, right? Here's what we have in the NFC. We have right now at the bye, we have the Green Bay Packers at 13-3. They're the number 1 seed. The number 2 seed is the Los Angeles Rams as it stands today. They're at 12-4. They would right now face the Philadelphia Eagles. Regardless of what anybody says, the Eagles are in at 9-7. The number 3 seed is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 12-4, having turmoil on the team right now, dealing with the AB situation, as well as the Tom Brady, and they are low in the wide receiver position with a lot of injuries and COVID issues that they have down there. The number 6 seed is the San Francisco 49ers at 9-7. The Cowboys at number 4 at 11-5. They would face the Arizona Cardinals, which that could change depending on the scenarios of this Sunday at 11-5 as well. And in the hunt, there's only one team, and that would be the New Orleans Saints right now. So as it stands, the Packers, no matter what anybody does, no matter what happens, they have clinched the number 1 seed. They are guaranteed that the Buccaneers and the Cowboys and the NFC West champion will be hosting during the wild card rounds. That's not going to change. That is the one thing about that strong conference of the NFC right now. It's pretty solidified. And in the second straight year, the Green Bay Packers have topped have been the top seed in the playoffs. So as we look down the lineup right now in the NFC, either the Rams or the Cardinals will be the NFC West champions. Los Angeles can capture the division crown with a win over the San Francisco 49ers, and if Arizona loses to Seattle at home on Sunday. The only way that the Cardinals can win the NFC West is if they win and the Rams lose, period, point blank. The Eagles may, as I stated, they're no matter what, they are clinched the playoff berth. They are in. San Francisco at this point controls their own destiny and can clinch the postseason berth with a win over the Rams on Sunday. If they also, it also will get into the playoffs if New Orleans lose to Atlanta on Sunday. So the Saints can reach the postseason with a win and a 49ers loss. That's the way it looks right now in the NFC.
Since Jameis Winston went down, I saw a stat recently that the Saints were 6-2 or 5-2 with Jameis Winston, and then since it was like 3-6 was their record. So Jameis Winston, talk about an unexpectedly valuable player for the Saints.
Yeah. I earlier in the season, Big Sky, I was telling them that he was my, during the exhibition seasons. I don't think they call them exhibitions. Do they call them exhibitions? Preseason. Okay. Yeah. In the preseason, I was saying, look out for Jameis Winston. It's just something about him. He has, he's revamped himself a little bit. He's started to work. He got an opportunity to sit back and learn and grow and become a better professional. And he came out and was doing a wonderful job. And it's sad that he had an injury that he had, because I think he could have really done some wonderful things for the Saints this year.
I don't think it was ever a question that he could ball, but I think it was a question if he could take care of it. That was the real question. He led the NFL in passing yards his final season in Tampa Bay. He just also led the league in interceptions.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest thing, is he just needed to get a little bit better at taking care of the ball, and then he could be that guy that could lead your team.
No doubt. There's no question about it. I mean, I think some matchups, this upcoming Sunday to start, when you look at the NFC, the Rams, they have a chance to get revenge on the 49ers. They beat them in their first meeting at 31-10 in week 10. And, the Los Angeles offense, they'll have to have a better showing than they did at that time. Matthew Stafford, had one of his better performances. And he would need to have a solid performance in order for them to be able to take the NFC crown. But they've got some new additions. I mean, acquiring Odell Beckham Jr. just, raised the bar for them. It gave them just more weapons at the receiver position. And Stafford has more. He's slinging that thing around down there in LA.
We'll talk about a tall order for the 49ers. To get into the playoffs, all you have to do is beat the number 2 team in the NFC and a high-powered offense
on revenge.
Yeah. So, with a quarterback in Trey Lance who's likely making his 3rd start in the NFL, period.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
If you're the New Orleans Saints, I don't think you're necessarily you don't feel good, but you feel you like your chances to make the playoffs this weekend.
Yeah, especially with that scenario that sits before them, right? That's the one thing a San Francisco loss that would open the door for New Orleans. So, they're sitting at home and just like, we got to take care of what we got to take care of. But at the end of the day, we've got to handle our business, but still we've got a good outlook if we do take care of business at home.
Absolutely. Who do you have winning the NFC West? Between the Cardinals and the Rams, which team do you think is going to pull it out this weekend?
I think I like the Rams, to be honest. I think they have the kind of an advantage in the fact that they have a revenge factor. They're hungry. They've got to be mad. And then at the end of the day, just Arizona's just kind of been on a slide. They haven't been playing very well as of late. I'm sure they would hope to get it turned around going into the playoffs, but I just like the Rams a little bit better in that scenario.
Absolutely. I agree with you there. The Cardinals have, under Cliff Kingsbury, been the 3rd best team record-wise in the first 2 months of the season, and then also under Cliff Kingsbury in the last 2 months of each regular season, they've been the 3rd worst team. So it's tough to bet on Cliff Kingsbury and the Cardinals late in the season, at least the last 3 years. So I'm going to go with the Rams there as well. And then if you were picking San Francisco or New Orleans to take that final wild card spot, who do you got?
Well, I think I've got to look at New Orleans. I think I've got to look at them being able to jump in there and find their way. I like the way that their defense has been playing. I'm never going to bet against Kamara with his ability to do so many things, and I think they'll find a way to make sure he gets the touches he needs, whether it be in the screen game, in the run game. I know they're going to try to load to him, but I just really think that they'll get the job done as long as they take care of the ball on the offensive end. I think the defense is good enough, and I think they'll sneak in.
Jog my memory if my notes are wrong, but you're a Cowboys fan, correct?
I am not.
Okay.
I'm really, that's the one thing about me, Big Sky. I'm not anybody fan. I think I'm a underdog fan. I like to look at what specific games. I will tell you one thing that I do is I support the teams in the cities that I played.
Okay.
So if there's like, just say the Cowboys are playing the 49ers, I'll be rooting for the Cowboys. If Indianapolis is playing Atlanta, I will be rooting for Indianapolis. You know what I mean? It's just one of those type of things because I'll support the teams. Obviously the Patriots. It'll be Green Bay if it's against somebody, and if the two are playing them, then I'll usually root for the underdog.
Okay, well, that kind of blows my question out of the water. But if you were an NFC team, which of the other playoff teams in the NFC would you least want to face at any point in the playoffs?
At this point, I think I would hate to face the Packers. I think right now, with all the controversy that's going on, people talking about they're not going to vote for Aaron Rodgers, I think he's got a chip on his shoulder to prove to everybody right now that, he's the best player right now in the NFL, period. So I think Tampa Bay's scary because they look like they're a wounded dog. You know what I mean? They look like they don't have an answer. I mean, you're down 2 receivers with Antonio Brown and also Godwin, right? So, somebody that's not on the scouting report, that's not, you got a whole bunch of film on, somebody is literally able to probably go nuts on you. And there's going to be some crazy dynamics that are possible to happen with that, right?
Well, you mentioned their injuries at wide receiver. They also have a couple of injuries at running back as well. Leonard Fournette not able to go. Jones not able to go. But they continue to produce, and they still pulled out a victory against the Jets this weekend in come from behind fashion, and you can't really bet against the GOAT.
Nah. That's the one thing about it. I think that's a scary dynamic. But I like where they sit right now. They sit in a tough spot, but I think the crazy thing about the football is that it's based on who wins, and then you play whoever. It's not like basketball, right? Where if you're the 1 seed and the 8 seed, and then the 4 and the 5, if the 4 and the 5 win, it gets mixed up. It depends on record and this and that, and it doesn't necessarily go by the seed. So it's kind of crazy.
So you got the Packers in the NFC as the team you wouldn't want to face. We didn't get an AFC team, so how about we get an AFC team, and then we'll go into our top 10.
I like it. On the AFC, I think, let's see. That's a tough one. It's kind of crazy. In the AFC, you know what? It's crazy. I think the Patriots are kind of scary right now. I think there's just something about them right now, that's just dangerous with them and Belichick. I mean, I just think he just knows how to get it done when it matters and when it counts. I think you've always got to look at Kansas City. There's been some inconsistencies with them, but with the start that they had which was terrible, but now they found themselves making run at the end. They're still a good team that is dangerous. I'm surprised at the way Tannehill's played this year. He's been very consistent in getting the job done. I really have a tough choice in picking this. So I think I would hate to play the Patriots, but I think that you've got to look at Kansas City, but they've got a dangerous matchup if it stays with the Chargers. The Chargers can be very dangerous in a first round matchup.
I think the team that I would hate to face in the AFC is probably the Titans, and simply because they're getting that guy Derrick Henry back. He's a force, and with the way Tannehill
with the bye too, the bye,
yeah.
An extra week.
We saw what he did 2 years ago to the Patriots and the Bills, Derrick Henry, but as a number 1 seed with a bye, playing at home in Nashville, he's going to be comfortable. He's rested because he's not been playing since week 8. So that's not a guy I want to face in the playoffs.
I like it.
All right. How about we go ahead and give our top 10s, and then we'll go to a break here and round out the top of the hour, or the end of the hour, with the shootout with Strick.
All right. I'll let you start it.
All right. At number 1 do you want to go 1 to 10 or 10 to 1?
We'll go 10 to 1.
All right. 10 to 1. Coming in at number 10, I have the Dallas Cowboys. I think they have the potential to be one of those dangerous teams in the playoff, but they are incredibly inconsistent. I don't like that Dak has been underperforming and really needs an established and strong running game to be successful in the NFL. I don't have the stat with me right now, but he is a significantly lesser version of himself when the Dallas Cowboys don't rush for over 100 yards from either of their running backs. At number 9, I have the Patriots, just off of, I can't rank them too high just because of where I want them to be. This is where they've earned the 9th spot, because right above them, I have the Bills. This is an offense this is a team that if they're going to beat you, they're going to beat you down. You're licking your wounds after the Bills. The stat early in the season was they have not won a game by less than 2 scores. Obviously, if their offense isn't clicking, they have a dud like they did against the Jags or the Steelers in week 1. They have the ability to underperform and lose. At number 7, I have the Cardinals, again, another team that's on a slide, but when they are on it, they will be one of the toughest outs in the playoffs. At number 6, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I would like to have them higher. They seem like a more dangerous team, but the injuries are going to be tough to overcome. Tom Brady is going to keep them in any game, though. Number 5, I have the Tennessee Titans. This is a team that I really like to watch. I think they're a really fun team to view. Derrick Henry is probably my favorite running back in the NFL, so I think the Titans are going to be a tough out. And at 4, I have the Los Angeles Rams. This is, again, an offense that has completely augmented itself over the course of the season after losing 2 running backs and losing Robert Woods. They brought in Odell Beckham Jr., completely rehabbed him, found something in Cooper Kupp that we didn't know was there until the beginning of the season. Matthew Stafford, if he can play a clean game, is one of the best and most dangerous quarterbacks in the league. Number 3, I have the Chiefs for many of the same reasons as you said yourself. They can just take the top off of any defense. Doesn't matter who you have back there. Number 2, I have the Bengals. I think this is the hottest team right now in the NFL. We saw what Jamar Chase did last week. That's scary. I wouldn't want to be facing them this week. I wouldn't want to face them in the first round of the playoffs. Zach Taylor, former Husker quarterback, has really found something there with his 2 young studs. And then finally at number 1, I have my Green Bay Packers. I hope Kelsey is still listening because I do have to eat crow a little bit. The Packers would not be here if it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers. He's having an insane season, and I should consider myself lucky that the Packers did not listen to me this offseason and go with Jordan
Love. Wow. Okay.
I can admit when I'm wrong, Kelsey. I can admit when I'm wrong.
All right. Well, for me, I'm going to go at 10 with the Indianapolis Colts. I think, I just like that they have a good shot. They're basic team, but they're balanced. They can kind of just get after you in different ways. And so I kind of like them at number 10. The Cowboys at number 9. They didn't necessarily do anything convincing in their last games against the Cardinals, and they're a team that has struggled with some consistency, for the majority of the second half of the season. So it's kind of like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of thing with the Cowboys. So I'm kind of a little bit iffy on them. Then at 8, I have the Cardinals. They've cooled off down the stretch. Kyler Murray, he had a solid performance against the Cowboys, but at the end of the day, he went from a one-time MVP, candidate to just looking very mediocre in some ways. So I just don't know with that consistency there. You talked about the Bengals, Jamar Chase and Burrow. They found it. They're at number 7 for me. They've kind of found, they've been doing it since they were at LSU. And so to have that combination, they can be very dangerous going into a playoff scenario. And then the Titans at number 6, we talked about that, the Derrick Henry to return. I'm with that. The Bills at 5 for me. I just think that, they went through ups and downs in that, they looked like they were going to be the top of the conference. And then all of a sudden they kind of got inconsistent and kind of fell off. And then they kind of started to find their way back. And the momentum is starting to ride with them going into the postseason. So I'm kind of liking them at 5. The Chiefs at 4 for me. Again, I think it's very similar. You know what I mean? I just don't. I think their defense got better, but I think their offense is always dangerous. But I don't know if their defense is gonna, hold it down when it really counts. And so that's why I'm kind of with them. Number 3 with the Buccaneers. You just can't fight Brady. You want to, but their situation with their laundry list of injuries is a possibility for some problems. Number 2 with the Rams, you spoke it. I stick with what you said. I like what you said. And number 1 with the Packers. The king is back. Aaron Rodgers has got a major chip on his shoulder, and I think he's got something to prove, and I think he's got the weapons to do it. Nobody wants to play in the tundra.
Hey, I said that last year, and Tampa Bay came in and said we'll play here, no problem, and sent us home packing in the NFC Championship game. I want to ask you before we get to a break here, which of your rankings are you most confident in and least confident in?
I think I'm most confident in the let's say I think I'm most confident in the Green Bay Packers, and I'm probably least confident in the Arizona Cardinals.
You think the Cardinals have ability to perform higher than you ranked or lower than you ranked?
I think they're probably a little bit lower.
Okay, I agree. I am most confident in the Packers, not because they seem like far and away head and shoulders above the rest of the league, but they are the only team that seem to consistently perform at that high level that you need to. And so you're kind of betting on dependability, consistency, and reliability with the Packers. And I would say I'm least confident in ranking the Bills at 8. I'd like to have them higher. They just struggle with the running game. They don't really have a lead back. They have Zach Moss, Matt Breida, and Devin Singletary. None of those guys have really taken the job and run with it. No pun intended. But I think the Bills have a chance to be one of those top 2 teams, like you said. They just haven't done it at all this year.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
All right. Line up your calls right now. We're doing the shootout with Strick. It's going to be NBA transaction trivia. Not really the way you think. I think Strick's going to struggle with this as well. It's which team has this player signed a 10-day contract with in the last 2 days?
Oof.
So your calls for that. Caller number 1 has a chance to beat Strick for $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. Caller 3 wins if Strick wins. So get your calls in for that. We'll be right back here on the block with Strick and Big Sky.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides, shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more. When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it. We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors. Whether they are in the mountains of New Mexico, the plains of Nebraska and Kansas, the ranches of Oklahoma and Texas, the farmlands of Missouri and Arkansas, or the bayous of Louisiana, we are here for our hometowns. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
Is our internet down again? That's the question you hear around the office when you experience an outage with outdated communication services. Allo knows businesses need reliable internet to keep everything moving. This is why Tammy Stevenson of the Bridge Behavioral Health switched to Allo.
Expedient and reliable service is critical because we provide care to our clients 24/7. We're just very, very appreciative of Allo's service.
To get a free quote, switch today. Visit allofiber.com/workfast or call 402-480-6685.
Working at Continental of Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they're hiring for production operators at $21.72 an hour and other select jobs starting at $23.42 an hour, with wages growing up to $27.55 an hour. Continental also has salary jobs available with great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljob.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
They say one great thing leads to another, and that's especially true when you visit a Great Clips salon. When you sit down for a haircut with the skilled and friendly stylist at one of our thousands of convenient Great Clips locations, they'll not only make your hair look great, they'll make you feel great too. And that's something you can't help but share with the world. Download our online check-in app today and opt in to get a Ready Next text when you're up next. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
Our public school teachers want every child to learn, grow, and succeed. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the NSEA. School's in session, and it's key to build a partnership with your child's teacher. Visit with them and ask for an overview of your child's strengths and areas for growth. Ask for recommendations for activities and opportunities so you can work with your child to harness their strengths and address their challenges.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this station.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
Ed Orgeron joins us. You have told me before you have a genuine fondness for the state of Nebraska. Why is that?
You know, I always liked Nebraska. Growing up, watching Nebraska, Monty Kiffin, Tom Osborne, the great teams there. I just always liked Nebraska. I just think it's a great school, great state, great football, tough, hard-nosed football players.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket. It's time to play Shootout with Strick. Call now, 464-5685, to take your shot against Eric Strickland. Shootout with Strick. Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Time to play the game!
It's time to play the game show on the Block with Strick and Bach. So line up your call right now, 402-464-5685 for your chance to win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings in the Shootout with Eric Strickland. Trivia on which team did this player sign a 10-day contract. It's going to be an either-or question. So I'll give you options. You have a 50-50 chance. And I believe you have a minute, correct me if I'm wrong, Strick, to get the answers.
40 seconds.
40 seconds. Okay, you have 40 seconds. I think, is there a sound for it? I can't find it. I will try and keep, maybe, okay. I think I understand how Bach's got this set up over here. All right, Strick, we'll go ahead and do you first. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You won yesterday, so you're 1-2. All right, here we go. All right, guard Ryan Arcidiacono signed a 10-day contract with the Knicks or the Kings?
Knicks.
That is correct. Forward Greg Monroe signed a 10-day contract with the Bucks or Wizards?
Wizards.
That's correct. Guard Tyler Johnson signed a 10-day contract with the Warriors or Spurs?
Spurs.
That's correct. Forward Braxton Key signed a 10-day contract with the 76ers or Mavericks?
Mavericks.
That is incorrect. Who leads the Eastern Conference Guards All-Star fan voting?
LeBron James.
That is incorrect. LeBron James is not.
Kevin Durant. You say East, right?
I said Eastern Conference Guards.
Oh, guards. God dang it. I didn't hear you. Okay.
LeBron, this doesn't answer any questions for the next caller, but LeBron does lead Western Conference front court voting in the All-Star fan vote. We have Tom as the contestant for Strick. Tom, are you confident Strick got 3 questions correct? Are you confident? Tom, are you there? We lost Tom. All right.
Win by COVID protocols. Yes. Yes.
That is not a win. That is not a win.
Win by forfeit COVID protocols.
We are still looking for a caller to take on Strick. He went 3-0. I think it's going to be an easy dub. I think Strick is going to go down. So please line up your call right now. Reminder, this is your one chance to claim it for yourself, $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. If Strick wins, even the caller can call back in and be the third caller for your chance to win Buffalo Wings and Rings, but no one is going to win if no one calls in. So 402-464-5685. Call in to take on Strick in the shootout. All right, we have a caller. Let's see if Rico will get them lined up for us here. I cannot read Rico's lips. All right, we got 2 callers now. There we go. BJ, are you confident in your ability to take down Strick?
Sure.
All right, we're going to go ahead and start your clock right now. All right, forward Justin Jackson signed a 10-day contract with the Suns or Thunder?
Suns.
That's correct. Guard Xavier Moon signed a 10-day contract with the Clippers or Lakers?
The Clips.
That's correct. Center Luke Cornett signed a 10-day contract with the Grizzlies or Bucks?
Oh, let's go Grizz.
That is incorrect. Center John Teskey signed a 10-day contract with the Grizzlies or Pistons?
Let's go back to Grizz again.
That is correct. For the win, who leads the Eastern Conference front court All-Star fan voting?
Front court. I don't know, Kevin Durant.
That is correct with the dub. BJ at the buzzer. Like his name's RJ Barrett. Congratulations.
I gave him the answer. That was cheating. I gave him Kevin Durant.
BJ, congratulations. Rico will
Congratulations, BJ.
All right, thanks.
Oh, Strick, that's a tough one at the buzzer.
I gave it to him. It was he hit at the buzzer though.
I tried to not give it away when you said that. So
no, but that's okay. Good. I'm happy for them. The fans got the win yesterday, so we'll come back and shoot get a stroke in next time.
There you go. There you go. I guess I wanted to use this as kind of like a primer for what we're going to talk about in the next segment, but it's kind of been 10-day contract mania in the NBA. Strick, have you been keeping track of all of the transactions that have been going on?
Man, I mean, it's very difficult to do so, right? I mean, it's so much turnover, and then you got guys like DeMarcus Cousins getting waived, and they're opening up spots, and so you've got trades, you've got trade deadlines, you've got the All-Star break coming in another month. Then you've got that deadline coming. And so you've got all these things that are happening and teams trying to fill voids and do you bring them from the G League or do you bring in like a Joe Johnson in the old schools? You know what I mean? So it's so much turnover. It's hard to kind of figure this whole thing out, bro.
How closely are you keeping your phone?
I have it close.
What would it take very much to get Strick back on the court on a 10-day?
Oh, negative Ghost Rider. The pattern's full in my Top Gun Maverick voice. No, I'm not going to buzz the tower on that one, my guy. I think I'm going to leave that alone to these young fellas. I might get out there and bust a back and tear a hamstring and another Achilles go and, shoulder go out of place. I got all kinds of stuff. And I'm not chasing, I'm not chasing Steph Curry or I'm not chasing Klay Thompson. I don't want to chase Trey. I don't want none of that smoke. Definitely don't feel like bumping up on LeBron. I don't want no smoke right now. I'm good.
What about Evan Fournier? Could you take on Evan Fournier?
Woo! Hey, Evan Fournier, yay, the game he had. But here's the thing. He don't score any points the game before, and then the next thing you know, he comes out and gets 30. It's like he's looking at the Boston Celtics and like, y'all should have gave me that paper. If you would have gave me that paper, I might not have hit you upside your head as hard as I'm hitting you right now. So in 3 games, he's averaging over 30. It's crazy against the Boston Celtics. And they got him again, I think, tonight or tomorrow. It's one of the two. It's either tonight or tomorrow. They got a back-to-back. Run it back. Let's see what you're going to do again.
Before we head to break, we have a caller here. We have Darren. Darren, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Hey, Strickland, I got a question for you.
Sure, shoot.
Hey, so you go down as my favorite Husker of all time, you and Pikowski, but I'd put you up above.
Bless you.
But I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Who would you put down as your 5 best white NBA players of all time? I've got a little thing going with a couple buddies.
Interesting.
And, I figured you're a knowledgeable guy. Who are the 5 best white NBA players of all time?
By position or just whatever?
Yeah, I mean, you can go back to whenever. I want to hear your 5 best white players of all time.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for your call, Darren.
That's a great question. Larry Bird, John Stockton, Bill Walton, Arvydas Sabonis, and George Mikan. No. I'm sorry. Take off Sabonis, throw in Pistol Pete, and I'm either gonna go with Hondo or Mikan. One of them two.
Mikan's that's an old name. Really pulled that out of
school. Mikan used to get it done, baby.
He was kind of what Steph Curry is right now to the NBA, but in the 40s and 50s. A lot of rule changes.
What you think about that? What's his thoughts on that? What's his thoughts about what I said?
Darren is not on the line any longer. Darren, if you could text in your thoughts, 4002-464-5685.
Yeah, and I would like to know his thoughts too, Big Sky. Like, text it in. Let's debate it.
All right, let's get Darren's top 5. We're going to head to a quick break here, go back to the top of the hour, talk a little bit more about the NBA here with Strick on the block with Strick and Bach.
Hi, this is Sean Callahan with Coppell Chevrolet GMC. New vehicle production has been increasing, but the lots will not be filling up anytime soon. In fact, most vehicles are being pre-sold and are leaving the same week as they arrive. If you want your new Chevrolet or GMC, this is a great time to build a vehicle and place an order. Our sales team will work right with you to build the exact vehicle you want. At Coppell, we appreciate your business and sell vehicles at a fair price. So come check us out or visit us online at CoppellCars.com.
They say one great thing leads to another, and that's especially true when you visit a Great Clips salon. When you sit down for a haircut with the skilled and friendly stylist at one of our thousands of convenient Great Clips locations, they'll not only make your hair look great, they'll make you feel great too. And that's something you can't help but share with the world. Download our online check-in app today and opt in to get a Ready Next text when you're up next. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
Our public school teachers want every child to learn, grow, and succeed. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the NSEA. School's in session, and it's key to build a partnership with your child's teacher. Visit with them and ask for an overview of your child's strengths and areas for growth. Ask for recommendations for activities and opportunities so you can work with your child to harness their strengths and address their challenges.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association on this station.
What are you doing, Sip?
I thought the chickens could use some more light in their lives.
So you're building what exactly?
It's a motion-censored switchboard. Duh.
Are you sure you know what you're doing?
Of course. Ow! God! Ow!
Seems like a job for a professional.
Just one more wire. Yep, there you go, right there.
Don't be like Sip. Call Joe at Ambition Electric for any of your electric needs at 402-217-3415.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Hey guys, it's Nicole Griffith from Ticket Weeknights. Join me this Monday, January 10th at Upside Bar and Lounge as we're broadcasting live and on location. They'll have the national championship game between Alabama and Georgia up on all the TVs. And of course, Monday night is taco night at Upside. 50-cent hard shells, $1 soft shell, and $3 house-made margaritas while you watch the big game. It's Ticket Weeknights with me, Nicole Griffith, live from Upside Bar and Lounge at 27th and Pine Lake this Monday, January 10th from 6 to 8 p.m.
Working at Continental of Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they're hiring for production operators at $21.72 an hour and other select jobs starting at $23.42 an hour, with wages growing up to $27.55 an hour. Continental also has salary jobs available with great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
The likelihood that you're going to have a guy that's as talented or even a step up from what you shipped away in Adrian Martinez, right? That's slim. You're going to have to conform your offense, your game plan to this quarterback, and this quarterback and all those guys on that offensive side of the ball are going to have to buy in this season. And that's one thing, right, is that this coaching staff has to relay that message that there is no choice.
Yeah.
You're either bought in or we're going to do this thing without you.
Weekdays from 2 to 3 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more. When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it. We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors. Whether they are in the mountains of New Mexico, the plains of Nebraska and Kansas, the ranches of Oklahoma and Texas, the farmlands of Missouri and Arkansas, or the bayous of Louisiana, we are here for our hometowns. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard. Aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three. You're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and Ortega connoisseur, Jake Bakoven.
I like Ortega and I like pepper.
Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Hold up.
Yay, yay. Welcome back. Welcome back to Strick on the Block with Strick and Big Sky tonight. Big Sky, I gotta address something before we get into this NBA talk. Big Sky, are you okay with that?
We need to go back to the topic we ended the last hour on too.
There's no way I could. Yes, there's no way I could not forget about my boy. I need to make sure. I was trying to think about some old school, but there's no way after I just posted about my boy's number going into the rafter, Swish 41, Dirty Dirk. Yes, he's in that list. There's no question about it. My guy, Dirty Dirk, needs to be in there, period.
Yes, the text line needed answers. They needed to know where Dirk was at on the list.
No, he in there. Facts. Big facts. But I did also want to address one thing. There's a guy by the name of Jason Barton on Facebook. He made a statement, and I just kind of want to address it. Verge, he says, Verge leads the Big Ten in assists per game. How about we back up on the hate on Verge? I don't want to say that we hate on Verge. I don't think whenever I discuss any of the players, I'm not hating. I'm not ever coming from a hating standpoint. I'm coming from a standpoint of what I see and what I believe can be done better, or things that I think he would need to improve on. If you think that it's perfect play just because he leads the Big Ten in assists, then they would be winning more games. As a point guard, if you are controlling the game and doing everything perfecto, so to speak, then that would translate, because there like I said, there are passes that go to the feet sometimes. There are passes that are thrown through defenses at times. Then so there's turnover numbers too that can be high. So I'm never coming from a hating standpoint. It's always from a standpoint of what I can see they could do better, or how they can be better to help the team become better. That's it. Period.
That message was that message was sent after Nick Sainer and I on the hour preceding you joining us. We'd kind of been talking about Fred Hoiberg and a question that was asked to Steven Sipple in a column, and so that's how we got to that. But yeah, I think that can be lost when you're discussing athletes in general. Is just stats aren't always reflective of the situation.
Facts,
for sure. But just to double down on the,
but let's think about it, right, real quick. Let's just touch this real quick. That would be like me averaging 30 and 10, but we're 1-20. Yeah, I lead the Big Ten in scoring, and what is their translation? You know what I'm saying? So you can't always just look at a statistical category and assess whether or not that's good, bad, or indifferent, right? That's all.
Yeah, I think it's obvious that for a lot of people, stats, you use them when they help your argument, and you don't use them when they don't help your argument. So you need to find that healthy balance for sure. And I think that Verge has, been a guy who has performed and really helped the Huskers, and those stats those stats in those games show it. And there have been times where maybe he had a game that was better stats wise than he actually helped the team. So
Yeah.
you always got to evaluate it with a little bit of the eye test. I'm one of those guys that can kind of get lost in the stats every once in a while. So that's something I've had to learn is don't take too much away from stats.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he does a tremendous job. I love his energy. I love the fact that he defends, the way that he defends with passion. I think there are times that he over dribbles. And that's not a detriment to his game, so to speak, but there are times where he goes too deep. So that's just me as a both being a player and then also coaching. That's just a fundamental thing that can be better, because if you put that ball on a dime right before when it's on time, that provides a better shot for the team, so to speak, than that extra dribble, and then you get caught so deep and now you've got nowhere to go. And then they know that too, the defense. I mean, if I'm a defender and I know you got in trouble, you got too deep, you've got nowhere to go but to there. So I'm releasing you and going back there, right? And so then there's no shot. So now the shot clock's at 3 and then we get a bad one. So is that really good? That's the things you got to look at. And that's really all I look at from an assessment standpoint.
That touches on text that we just got, and it says, think what Verge's numbers would be if this team could shoot. And I think you kind of explained there that sometimes it's Verge's play that affects the ability to shoot.
Yeah, sometimes it's the pass a half a second before, right? Then boom, a lap man may have a chance to release that, as opposed to you get caught and then now you got to get in the air and then you've got nowhere to go, and then there's a pass out. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe they hit it that time, but is that really still a good play? You know what I mean? The good play is, you come off that pick and roll, it's open. Okay, you see the rotation coming. Okay, they're crashing down on Big Walker, and then the right play is back to the guy that just left, right? So if I saw more of that, I would give more credence to it. But it's just still, and look, I'm not faulting him because he's freaking a 2 guard. I mean, he's really playing out of position. I understand that better than most. I had to learn how to come from playing the 3 position to playing the point guard position. So I understand that, right? So that's the standpoint I come from.
And then there's a question on the text line for you, Strick. Strick, won't the team be significantly better once we get Trey McGowan's back? I feel like we would have won a few of these games if he was playing.
Facts. I truly believe that. I think with Verge's ability to pressure the ball and with Trey's ability out front, I think it'll spark something out of Bryce to get after it. You're already getting it from Walker, and I think Lat does a good job at it, and Casey. I think if you have all of them doing those types of things, his aggressiveness in attacking, he seems to be probably one of the most fundamental guys on the team as far as making plays that I've seen so far from last year on to this year, prior to him getting injured. I think once he gets back healthy and the lungs get back right, because it's going to take some time. The adrenaline's going to kick early. He's going to burn out. He's going to be tired. And then that's when I think they have to kind of work him to make sure he gets his lungs back, gets his legs back, because I don't care what type of simulation, what type of drill work you're doing, you can't simulate gameplay, period.
For sure. And that's probably why I would say, if you're looking at it, Fred Hoiberg has been seemingly hesitant to bring a guy like CJ Wilcher or Kobe Webster into the starting lineup, because he knows he wants Trey McGowan's in that spot. And so he likes what CJ and Kobe do off the bench. So he's holding off on having to promote those guys and then immediately demote them again once Trey McGowan's gets back.
Yeah, I mean, because that can't be a demoralizing thing, right? And it can change your focus. It's different coming off the bench. It's a different mentality coming off the bench than starting. And so you keep them in that frame of mind so that way they understand, okay, at about the 6-minute mark into the game, about the 14-minute mark, 15-minute mark, okay, I'm probably going to come in 13-minute mark, as opposed to, I'm in this game, I got to do this, here's my assignments. Yeah, it's a different mentality, and so we want to make sure that they maintain that.
Let me get your thoughts on this. We discussed it right before you came on, Nick Sainert and I basically we were discussing how hot is Fred Hoiberg's seat right now, and a lot of people on the text line said, well, he needs to win. If he doesn't pick it up, he needs to get fired. And we just got a text on the text line asking you from Crazy for Huskers, people are insane to call for Fred Hoiberg's job already. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's still too early. I think he's got a young team. I think you've got to let him build his core team that he brought together, that he's been able to. I think you got to give him a few years to do that. It's tough to bring, teams together. One, what he inherited wasn't his, right? So you still kind of had to play that out. Then you get a chance to recruit your first classes, and then you kind of get the turnover because you're still trying to figure out this transfer portal stuff. Guys jumping in, guys jumping out, guys ain't happy, guys, you got that dynamic. So you've kind of got to get your feet wet on that. And then now you kind of got a good, you had a great recruiting class, one in top 20, I think, if I'm correct. And now you after 1 year of just securing one of the top recruiting classes of your time, after 1 year to say, I think that's tough, man. I wouldn't want to put that pressure on anybody.
One thing that I said that a lot of people pushed back on in the last hour, the first hour of the show was, when Miles left, a significant portion of the scholarship players that were on the roster left. And then Hoiberg comes in, he gets a lot of transfers in, and then a lot of those guys leave. He does it again, and then it happens again. And now we're in year 3 where he hasn't really had a lot of overlap. And this is probably going to hold a little bit more weight coming from you than it is from me. But I remember you were talking to DP on the postgame show, and you mentioned, it's important to have that veteran leadership on a college basketball roster, just from the sense of, this is how you travel. This is how this floor is going to play. This is what this environment is going to be like. So maybe speak to that so we can, get kind of that message out as to why you need to have roster consistency.
Yeah. Because it doesn't matter. You come 1 year into the Big Ten and you don't know what it's like to go into Indiana. You've never been into Ann Arbor. You don't know what it's like to go to Michigan State and the Breslin, right? So now the consistency helps that part of it because you've been there before. This ain't nothing different. It would be like, me showing up the first time and trying to go into, Rock Chalk Jayhawk land, down there in Kansas, right? And playing in that atmosphere, or going to Oklahoma State when it's just kind of like Duke, where the fans are right up on you, you know what I mean? Or going into Missouri where, the Antlers are calling your room and they're freaking, they know everything about your detail and what your girlfriend's name is and how many people you dated last year and what classes you're taking, and then understanding that stuff, right? So they don't know that. And it's difficult. Trey does, you know what I'm saying? But one guy, Derek got some of it. You know what I mean? But look at how they're playing. So you get this next core of guys, and that's why I'm telling you, I really would think this would be me. With NIL now, if I'm Bryce, I'm really trying to make sure if it was me, I would want to give it at least 2 years because I came for a reason. Yeah, you want to go to the league and stuff like. There's time for that. I don't think if you're not going to be a lottery pick, I wouldn't play with the NBA. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get into the lottery, and I think he could be a lottery pick. But if he goes too early, he may find himself in the G League. And when you go to the G League, yes, you could come back, and I think he will still make it in time. I just don't think that, especially with NIL, if you can secure a nice little bag now, shoot, stick it out. Because here's the thing, Big Sky, if you change the culture of Nebraska, do you jump into the top 10 because you're the lead guy in something that turned it around. Now you become a top 10 guy in the top 5, maybe. You know what I mean? You take them to a NCAA win. shoot, you can write your ticket at that point. And so that's just me thinking. But, some kids are a little bit different these days.
Two thoughts on what you said there. You mentioned how, there are two guys really on this roster who have had Big Ten experience, and it's still, I don't want to discount them having played a full season in the Big Ten, but it was still a COVID season where all of those massive college basketball cathedrals were empty last year. No fans.
Facts.
It's different to play in front of no one, empty seats, than it is the Antlers, like you mentioned, in Missouri. So it's a completely different environment. And Trey and Derek are seeing this all for the first time again because, they saw these arenas last year and they kind of know what the floor is going to be like. But now add 15,000 people screaming at you and all the craziness that happens behind the basket when you're trying to take a free throw. So I think
look at Lat Man. Yeah, that's the Lat Man situation, right? Yep. That's a different thing. It's like practice. The last year he took it, but this year, shoot, there's people behind there waving and rowdy and yelling. That's a different shot than it is. So go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on Bryce, when you said that, I was kind of thinking about if he got drafted, what would they talk about on the NBA draft when it was, okay, this is who the Pacers selected, this is his story. It would kind of be right now, it would be, oh, he played for Fred Hoiberg at Nebraska. They underperformed and these were his stats. But if he stays a year, turns around the culture, and he will get drafted high if that is the case, and he's the guy that leads it. That's going to be a much better story, and that will certainly heighten his stock. And if you can do it at Nebraska, you're going to get a lot of fans thinking, hey, he turned around Nebraska, he can turn around Sacramento, whatever.
Absolutely.
Whatever team he gets drafted to. So you're going to earn a lot of fans, just even people who don't pay attention to Nebraska, you're going to earn a lot of fans if they knew you came, stuck it out, and turned a place around when there was no basketball culture there otherwise.
I mean, because it's what you just said. Look at Ja Morant, right? Mm-hmm. Ja Morant went to Murray State. If he just went to Murray State and put up big numbers at Murray State, you would have been like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Maybe they saw something in him. You know what I mean? And they were 15 and 20, but okay, maybe. But I guarantee you, if he went to Murray State and they were 15 and 20 and he was doing what he's doing, he's a lottery pick, but he ain't number 2. It's different when you can say he's only lost 4 games in his old career. He took his team, Murray State, and virtually unknown to the NCAA twice and made noise. You know what I'm saying? That's a different story now. You look at that kid and you're like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? So that's the part that I like about the Ja Morant story.
It's that intangible of just being a winner. Guys like to draft people who have had success elsewhere. Those are the kinds of people you want to bring in. Because if you know how to find success in one place, logic would assume you know how to win and find success anywhere.
Yeah, no question. There's no question about it. I think a winner is a winner, right? And in the same likes that the Lakers knew what they were getting when even though he came late, but it was because he went to, this is even back in the day. So it's worse than it is now. This is way back in the day when they drafted Derek Fisher from like Arkansas Little Rock. They knew what they were getting. They were getting a winner, and it translated into winning. You know what I mean? So, that's the kind of guy he was. So that's there's still some things that Bryce needs fundamentally to grow from. Let me give you an example. I was undrafted, and there were people that were drafted before me. There were people that had a better resume than me coming in. The thing about the NBA is this: you don't have a lot of time. They don't have a lot of time to teach you. You've got to come in there dang near ready-made. You know what I mean? You can't come in there and they say, okay, here's your playbook. The playbook is about this big. I don't know if they give them out now, but they maybe give you a tablet now with the plays on it. But back then we had a playbook. We had to go through it. They say, okay, we're going to run this play. You got to know that stuff. If you don't, they don't have time to be like, oh, well, stop, run it again like they do in college. They'll just make you run it over again. They're going to say, okay, yeah, pink slip, send him home. That's how that stuff happens. So I'm not saying that's Bryce, but what I'm saying is they don't have time to train you because you just don't have a lot of time for practice. Your practice is the off season. You see what I'm saying? So if you don't come in ready-made, some of the things that I've talked about is weaknesses that I see in Bryce, then it's not going to be good. Then he's got to get stronger. You know what I mean? You know, do you have time to get the strength you need in an off season in the summer? No, you ain't going to be doing that. You're going to be trying to be in the gym. You're not going to be in the weight room as much as you would really need. That's why that development, I think, needs to happen for guys like that. I think Alonzo Verge could be a good pro, but he's not Allen Iverson. And this is the thing I'm trying to, tell, like, he's not talking to me, but I'm saying for guys like Jason, I'm saying he's not Allen Iverson. He's not going to get those types of shots. So therefore, yeah, his assist numbers, but they've got to be great decisions and stuff's got to be on point and on time. Imagine him coming off, taking one or two dribbles too deep and Kevin Durant's in the freaking corner. You know what I'm saying? And he was butt naked when you turned the corner on the pick and roll, but you tried to go two dribbles too deep and you missed Kevin Durant. The coach is going to be down your throat like that should have happened 2 dribbles ago, back up, in that pick and roll, so that's why I'm speaking about different things like that, because they're not going to be able to come into a team and be like Chris Paul and just do and go and handle and do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Even with Bryce, same thing. You're not going to be that guy. It's not.
Yeah. And then on the text line, Faisal 5 times says that there's no guarantee that this gets turned around, and will Bryce even want to be the best player on the worst team? Faisal then predicts that he thinks he will be gone. I don't see Bryce leaving after this season. If he leaves, it's to the draft, in my opinion, not somewhere else.
Great question. I don't think so. There's a couple things working in the favor. I think Trey wanted to leave. I don't think with the injury that it would be smart of him to leave. I think he should come back and give it a full go. That would be healthy for his career. I think he has the capabilities of doing things. He still too needs to work on some things with regards to consistency in his jumper, being able to knock that thing down on a regular clip. So those are some things. Defensively, I have no problem. His IQ defensively is off the charts. He's great. Basketball decisions are solid. But I think he would just need a little more tape to show and prove that he is who, most are going to be talking to him saying he is. So I think if Trey comes back, I don't think Bryce leaves. I think if Trey leaves, then Bryce may leave. You know what I mean? So I think them having a conversation and staying together, I think is a possibility of happening. Knowing that they lost some pieces in Wilhelm and some, some things were down. Let's really put it all together and see how we can make a run at it. You know what I mean? That's why I'm hoping. Let me just say I'm hoping.
Bryce came in as a kind of slotted in that 10 to 15 range in the NBA draft. Do you think he has hurt his stock so far this season, or do you think he's just kind of maintained that 10 to 15 range?
I think there's other players out there that would fill that spot. I think Bryce has the capabilities. I think him shooting in the percentages that he's shooting, especially with range, is hurting him right now. That's why I think good shots are very important for him. Good quality. I think if somebody takes a chance on him, it's going to be on potential. And I think a lot of people are coming to more conclusions now when they want to spend that money that they're, kind of iffy on potential, so to speak. I think it's getting worse as far as making decisions on potential now, as opposed to in times before. So we jumped into stuff that we didn't even think we were going to get into, but it actually ended up being a good conversation. Thank you for those tapping in on the text line and the questions that you guys posed to us and the call in. Call in at 402-464-5685 if you want to do that. We're going to take a break right now. We'll come back with On the Block with Strick and Bach in a few minutes. Peace.
What are you doing, Sip?
I thought the chickens could use some more light in their lives.
So you're building what exactly?
It's a motion-censored switchboard. Duh.
Are you sure you know what you're doing?
Of course. Ow! God! Ow!
Seems like a job for a professional.
Just one more wire. Yep, there you go, right there.
Don't be like Sip. Call Joe at Ambition Electric for any of your electric needs at 402-217-3415.
You hear that? That's the sound of extremely tender and delicious beef from certified Piedmontese. Prime grade tenderness with a fraction of the fat and calories of normal beef. It's Nebraska-raised product and the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. Change the way you buy beef today at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, just north of 84th and Havelock, or at cpmercado.com.
Your home should not be a zoo to unwelcomed animals. Let the experts at Bats to Rats take care of those problems. Dane has been a leader in wildlife and pest management and prevention in Lincoln and the surrounding area for 15 years. He can help you get rid of bats, rodents, and anything else. Whether it's residential or commercial buildings, schools, apartments, or churches, they're always a phone call away. Call today at 402-310-0904 or visit batsterats.com. Bats to Rats Wildlife Control and Prevention.
If you're struggling to get motivated to work out, you're not alone, and Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping is here to help. Build muscle, burn fat, and lose weight with Farrell's 10-week challenge starting January 8th, all for a chance to win $1,000. Farrell's combines kickboxing with inclusive strength training and nutrition planning to help you stay on track. Go to fxblincoln.com to sign up today. It's the Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-week challenge starting January 8th with 2 locations in Lincoln.
Big Red Towing reminds motorists every 6 days a tow truck driver is killed while helping stranded motorists. So if you see a vehicle with emergency lights flashing, just know you're required by law to move over and slow down. Let's get tow truck drivers home safely to their families. Slow down and move over. You may save a life. This message from Big Red Towing. For all your towing needs, whether light, medium, or heavy duty, call the professionals at 402-475-4869. That's Big Red Towing, on the air because they care.
These days, there are more reasons than ever to treat yourself to a great haircut at Great Clips with the online check-in app. So tell us, why do you check in?
I check in because I'm tired of hat hair. I check in because we all need a cut.
I check in so I can feel like me.
And I check in so I look good for you.
No matter why you check in, you'll check out with a great haircut and save time with our online check-in app. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
Chilly conditions once again, although at least a little bit warmer compared to yesterday. We'll top out near 23. A little breezy, though. South winds could gust over 20. We'll drop to around 19 for the low tonight, but temperatures will steady some and should see a nice climb as we head into the start of the weekend, with tomorrow's high around 44. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Superhero Night at the Icebox as the Stars clash with the Sioux Falls Stampede on Saturday. Get our superhero package and receive 4 tickets and 2 specialty pucks for only $65. The puck drops at 7:05 as the boys look to make it 4 straight wins at home. Get your Superhero 4-pack today by going to LincolnStars.com. That's LincolnStars.com.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too, and that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more. When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it. We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors. Whether they are in the mountains of New Mexico, the plains of Nebraska and Kansas, the ranches of Oklahoma and Texas, the farmlands of Missouri and Arkansas, or the bayous of Louisiana, we are here for our hometowns. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard. Aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
Casey's General Store is giving you the chance at winning 2 free tickets to a Nebraska home basketball game this season. Stop by any Casey's location in Lincoln throughout basketball season. Enter your name into the registration box, and you'll have a chance to win 2 tickets to an upcoming Nebraska basketball game. Every drawing will occur at least 24 hours before the game that has its selected winner. So make sure to get to any Casey's in Lincoln today for your chance at 2 free tickets for Nebraska men's basketball games.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to On the Block with Strick and Bach. I am Big Sky filling in for Jake Bachhoven today as Strick busts a move on the live stream there. If you're not watching the Starter Heyman Jewelers video stream, missing out on Strick's epic moves there. Oh, I think I got him muted. Hold on. There you go, Strick.
Yeah, listen, we dipped off into a little something. I was over here walking, doing my LA walk, so but nonetheless, man, we delved off into a little something. I know we wanted to get into what you wanted to talk about, so lead us there, take us there, Captain.
All right, so I was reading an article from ESPN today on ESPN Plus about Isaiah Thomas, Max McClung, and a couple other players who have taken 10-day contracts since the NBA has gone into this crazy COVID protocol world since basically the week before the Christmas holiday, with one day including 260 players going into the COVID protocol. And I was just curious to get your thoughts, Strick, about it, given that you have experience in the NBA. I don't know if they did the 10-day contracts as far back as when you were playing, but
I had
one. Okay, so I guess kind of talk about what it's like playing on a 10-day contract and what the teams tell you when you get that offer.
So for me, it was I had made the Mavericks roster. So similar to what happened with DeMarcus Cousins. Similar to what happened with him is they released him before there was a portion of his contract that was going to be guaranteed for the rest of the year. So for me, it was a very similar thing, right? It becomes business. And I think as a player, you've got to understand that there's a business aspect to that. It's not necessarily that a team doesn't like you or they don't, think you're worthy of being there. Freaking Milwaukee stated their organization and staff, coaches all said, hey, we're grateful for what DeMarcus was able to do for us and what he brought to the team. It's just that it was a business decision, and the same thing that Dallas did with me. So you get released. Back then, we didn't have the G League or the D League or any of that. So we went to the CBA, and I went to the CBA in Oklahoma. Didn't play really in Oklahoma City, and then asked for a trade. Got sent up to Quad Cities out in Iowa, Davenport, Iowa. Play behind who right now is Jalen Brunson's dad, Rick Brunson. So I came off the bench, but I was coming off the bench going nuts. I was scoring 20 and 20. And the last game I had was at Grand Rapids. I had like almost 40, and Mavericks called and was like, hey, we want to sign you to a 10-day contract. It was right before they made the big crazy trade to bring in Michael Finley, Steve Nash, AC Green, and then they sent Mashburn. And, it was just a big 8-player trade that they made. And so you get there. My situation was a little bit different because there was only 7 players on the team. So I knew they had to play me. And that's what's going on with guys right now with 10-day contracts. It's like they've got to play you. So you've got to look at it. It's not necessarily what the coaching staff or what anybody says to you. They come in there and they say, here's the plays, here's the sets, here's what they're called. And if you're used to the same play being called something else, you got to learn what their terminology is. You've got to learn all of that in the blink of an eye. So you've got to kind of be cerebral. You got to understand that type of stuff. So you just come in and your mindset is, I've got 10 days to make it work. And so you want to be consistent. You don't want to try to do too much. You want to play within the system. You want to make sure that and you got to understand too, that it's not just them looking at you. There's 32 or so other teams that are evaluating you on a given basis. So you got to play not for just the team you're on. You got to play for everybody else. And that's why it's about being consistent. That's why it's about, doing what you're supposed to do with the assignment that has been given you. That assignment may not be for you to score, but for me, it was, you got to score for us to win. So I think the second game I played, I had like 25 against Mitch Richmond and held him to like 21. And at that point, I didn't ever come off the court. When the trade happened, I still kept starting, so it was just one of those type of things that worked out in my favor.
How does it change? Because right now we're seeing some veterans get 10-day contracts like Isaiah Thomas. We're also seeing some undrafted rookies, like I mentioned, Max McClung, who was in the G League. He's getting a 10-day contract. He just got his second one with Chicago recently.
Oh, with Chicago? Well, I know it was Chicago. Okay, yeah.
He was with the South Bay Lakers. He played a little bit with the big squad this year, and then he got the 10-day with Chicago. So how is it different getting a 10-day as a veteran versus getting a 10-day as a rookie?
Well, as a veteran, they're bringing you there because they know what you can do. They know they've got track record on you. So as a veteran, you just go and do what you do. If that's get buckets like Carmelo Anthony, God, you got to realize that there was a period where Carmelo Anthony was out of the game, but they called him back because they were like, we need what you do. So do what you do, right? So as a young player, you just want to figure out how to get in where you fit in. That's why it's very important to understand the scheme, right? So it's going to require you to probably dive for that extra ball, maybe press 94 feet. That's how Patrick Beverly got it going. You know what I mean? 94 feet, I'm hawking you. If it's called for you, JJ Redick style, come off screens and, hit that shot off. Do what you do. And because there's a reason that they called you to it, right? So it's really as a young player, it's assessing. Like it would be different if DeMar DeRozan was there, right? Than Alonzo Ball. So if you're taking Alonzo Ball's spot, do what you do, but get the ball to DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. You understand what I'm saying? If DeMar DeRozan's out, if you come off that screen, they want you to shoot the ball. They don't want you to come off the screen and be looking around where the next shoot the ball. So that's kind of the difference between, those types of situations.
Would you say filling the role that they bring you in to fill as opposed to trying to play something that's not your game, but finding success is playing that role the best way to get your second 10-day contract or a full year contract with that team?
Yeah. If you come in trying to do too much, that's a hindrance to the team because that's a chemistry breaker. But if you come in and get in where you fit in, hit the open shots when they're presenting themselves to you. If they call your number, do what they ask you to do and make the right plays. If you do that, that's all they're asking you to do. They're not asking you to come in there and be, Tracy McGrady. They're not asking you to come in there to be Allen Iverson. They're asking you to come in there and fill the role and do a job.
And I can confirm after reading that article that they do, in fact, still have playbooks in the NBA that they send to people because Isaiah Thomas on his little storyline in that article, he said he was in Seattle. A team called him up, said we need you in Sacramento tonight. He got the playbook on the flight and was in the arena within 3 hours of shopping at a grocery store. So it sounded incredibly intense, and I'm sure he was he needed to be who he was to get that job because they knew this is a veteran guy who knows the league. He's going to be able to come in, look at this playbook for a very short amount of time and be able to learn it much faster than a rookie. So I got that feel from the article. So I can't remember who wrote it. It was a well-written article. They did a good job showing you what you need to be to have success in that kind of environment in the NBA. I also wanted to shift gears because you wanted to talk about that crazy game that happened last night between the Celtics and the Knicks. So what did you see last night as the Celtics collapsed? Evan Fournier showed them what they were missing out on, and RJ Barrett cashed in on a game-winning bucket.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, basically they were down. I mean, they're down, 20 some points, and Tatum and the crew, they were doing what they do. You know what I'm saying? And that's sometimes the thing about somebody just kind of, kicking you to the curb and throwing you away. He had a story and he felt like, shoot, I'm going to come out here and do and show you what you meant. It's kind of like the girlfriend, right? The girlfriend, when you saw her in high school, she was all right. She was kind of cute, a little dumpy, wore the glasses, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, she gets into college and she's the finest thing on campus. And you walk by her on campus, she's like, she got that skirt on, she popping it, bop, bop, bop. And you looking at her like, and she's walking with the next one. And so you like, dang, did I give up on that? That's kind of what it feels like as a player coming in. I'll give you an example. So when I was trying to make my way in, they had these little leagues, the IBLs and all these different leagues all over the place. And I knew I wasn't getting drafted. So I had to go on this circuit and go to Portsmouth. You go and play in the summer league with New Jersey and Indiana, and then ultimately with Dallas. And you're doing all these little treks. I actually came to Florida. They had this little league in Florida. And there was a team in West Palm Beach called the Sea Dogs, but then there was a team in Tampa that was like a little, league. It was a small league. And the coach at that time was he's the coach at Nevada now, Musselman, Eric Musselman. And he coached in the NBA too. So Musselman was the coach, and I go and I try to make this team, and I'm playing my butt off. And he basically told my agent, he said, he can't play. And when I got to the CBA, I saw on the schedule, because they had a guy named Mark Macon who played at Temple, was one of the top scorers in the country. And I circled that date, and I remembered that what he said to me. And I said, I went in there and I shut Mark Macon down. I mean, he couldn't get a look that night. And so then they're trying to cover me, Brian Stith, all them, they trying to cover me, and I'm giving them work. And I had like 30. And every time I scored, I was talking to a Musselman. I was like, yeah, you better get somebody out here that can guard me. You better find somebody to come out. I'm talking crazy to him, right? So then when I get to the NBA, I'm almost done. We'll go to break. But when we get to the NBA, he's coaching at Golden State now, and I'm with the Mavericks, and so I'm a starter now. And I never talked to him. He would try to, kind of be around, and I'm working out. I walked by him like I didn't see him. And he finally stopped me. He was like, Eric, I just want to tell you, I'm sorry. He's like, I'm sorry, man. I messed up. You know what I'm saying?
He was trying to defuse you before you went and messed up his Warriors. That's what he
Yeah. So that, those types of things people do, and they remember that stuff. You know what I mean? And I think Fournier had a good memory about what they said he couldn't do, and they didn't want to pay him that money.
I agree. I mean, you can't help but think that the Celtics were looking at him drop 41 on him last night, thinking, man, it would be nice if he was doing that in the green and cream.
Big facts. And then do it the way he did it. But on top of that, every time you see me, I'm getting 35 and 6. Every time you see me, the 3 times you see me, I may only average 11 against everybody else, but against you, I'm killing you. Averaging 30 something.
You can't do it just one time, because then they're like, okay, it was fluke. You got to keep doing it.
Right. Yeah. So It's going to be interesting to see when they face each other. I think either tonight or tomorrow.
Will you be tuning into that game for sure?
It's a Saturday night. I don't know. I might be sipping on some wine.
All right. We'll go ahead and go to break here on the Block Stricken Block. You are listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Big Red Towing reminds motorists every 6 days a tow truck driver is killed while helping stranded motorists. So if you see a vehicle with emergency lights flashing, just know you're required by law to move over and slow down. Let's get tow truck drivers home safely to their families. Slow down and move over. You may save a life. This message from Big Red Towing. For all your towing needs, whether light, medium, or heavy duty, call the professionals at 402-475-4869. That's Big Red Towing, on the air because they care.
You hear that? That's the sound of extremely tender and delicious beef from Certified Piedmontese, prime grade tenderness with a fraction of the fat and calories of normal beef. It's Nebraska-raised product and the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. Change the way you buy beef today at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, just north of 84th and Havelock, or at cpmercado.com.
They say one great thing leads to another, and that's especially true when you visit a Great Clips salon. When you sit down for a haircut with the skilled and friendly stylist at one of our thousands of convenient Great Clips locations, they'll not only make your hair look great, they'll make you feel great too. And that's something you can't help but share with the world. Download our online check-in app today and opt in to get a ready next text when you're up next. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
Working at Continental of Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they're hiring for production operators at $21.72 an hour and other select jobs starting at $23.42 an hour, with wages growing up to $27.55 an hour. Continental also has salary jobs available with great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljob.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Your home should not be a zoo to unwelcomed animals. Let the experts at Bats to Rats take care of those problems. Dane has been a leader in wildlife and pest management and prevention in Lincoln and the surrounding area for 15 years. He can help you get rid of bats, rodents, and anything else. Whether it's residential or commercial buildings, schools, apartments, or churches, they're always a phone call away. Call today at 402-310-0904 or visit batsterats.com. Bats to Rats Wildlife Control and Prevention.
Casey's General Store is giving you the chance at winning 2 free tickets to a Nebraska home basketball game this season. Stop by any Casey's location in Lincoln throughout basketball season, enter your name into the registration box, and you'll have a chance to win 2 tickets to an upcoming Nebraska basketball game. Every drawing will occur at least 24 hours before the game that has its selected winner. So make sure to get to any Casey's in Lincoln today for your chance at 2 free tickets for Nebraska men's basketball games.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. 93.7 The Ticket. Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on. Chilly conditions once again, although at least a little bit warmer compared to yesterday. We'll top out near 23. A little breezy, though. South winds could gust over 20. We'll drop to around 19 for the low tonight, but temperatures will steady some and should see a nice climb as we head into the start of the weekend, with tomorrow's high around 44. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Well, welcome back into On the Block with Strick and Bach. Do I need to say it for the last time? Big Sky in for Jake Bachhoven today. I've had a great show with Strick today. Really fun time talking to you. I've been in the studio with you a lot, but I don't get to talk to you a lot. So it's been fun to do this last 2 hours with you.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming and thanks for filling in, and we welcome you back anytime.
Oh yeah, I always love getting some reps in, and I'm your guys' producer, so I will be here every time you're on the air, Strick.
Yes, sir. How are we gonna finish out the show today?
All right. So I saw this when I was looking up researching for the show. Kyle Lowry got a very weak technical, and it resulted in him getting thrown out of the game. So he tosses the ball back to the official, just getting the ball back to him. It's a stoppage of play. Ref needs the ball and gets teed up, thrown out. It's unclear. You watch the video. You can't really tell if he said anything to the ref, and it was not a chuck. He didn't chuck it at the ref. It was an underhand toss. Can't tell if he said anything. Gets teed up, thrown out. Then he definitely is saying something. And so I wanted to know if you had seen the call, your thoughts on it, and what the softest foul / technical foul you ever received was.
So It's very tough without a reference from the microphones that exist all around. So I can tell you that they're have a pretty good idea of what happened, but we, from our standpoint, are probably not going to be able to assess what happened. So I can't say for sure, but what I will say is there, the word out there, the rumor mill is that there was constant throughout the game verbal, some profanities and stuff like that. I will say there are players that get more leeway than others, i.e., Green sometimes, or other players, top-notch players will get a little bit more leeway than others. But I think Lowry has earned the abilities to talk to somebody, and without the flipping of the ball, so to speak, I don't think just me saying something to you should be something warrant of that. Now, for me, it was a situation in the same ref that did the Tim Duncan ousting from the bench, Joey Crawford. I think I had said, I had a charge I thought I had. I maybe said something there, like, dang, come on, Joey. I mean, so I'm just trying to talk to him. I used to talk to Dick Bavetta and everybody I could at least talk to. I mean, I didn't approach him with no animus. I didn't come with no, verbal in your face, trying to chest bump you or nothing. I just basically said, dang, Joey, or something, take a look at, and he hit me with a T. And I said, what? So it reminded me, so I was not surprised when that whole scandal went down with Tim Duncan, because I used to say I love Joey Crawford to this day, because I was in the G League refereeing, system, training to try to be a G League ref, and Joey Crawford was always there. So I love him. I think he's wonderful. But I used to always say, if I ever saw Joey in an alley, I might walk up to him and steal on him just off GP, just because that's just how much of a D he was. You know what I'm saying? But that's sometimes it's just a high intensity game. Some guys are more sensitive than others, and some, will let you talk to them a little bit more than others as well.
When I played hockey, I never got thrown out of a game, and I don't think I ever got a unsportsmanlike penalty. I might have got teed up one time. I screamed at a ref because I was a hockey official. I still am, and I knew the guy's first name. And usually when you go first name on a ref, they don't like that. So it's always interesting when you have those interesting interactions with pro athletes and officials, because that they know each other really well, especially a guy like Kyle Lowry, who's been around the NBA for a while.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it usually happens with younger refs or guys like Joey, you know what I mean, that are real sensitive, or McCutcheon, who used to be like that a little bit, Marty McCutcheon. So it's a sometimey thing. It just depends on the intensity of the game or what has been built up throughout the game over the course of a particular game.
As an official, did you ever drop a tech on someone?
It would take a lot, just because I was a player. You would really have to do something by rule for me to give you a tech. I give you a little bit of leeway. If you curse, I might go up to you and say, young fella, watch that. You know what I mean? Be careful. So I was a little bit more of a player's ref, so to speak.
This has been On the Block with Strick and Bach, but Big Sky was filling in for Bach. Hope you guys have a good weekend. We have high school basketball coming up after this. That's Nick Sainer on the call at 7:30. That is Lincoln Pies versus Lincoln Southeast. So be sure to tune into that at 7:30. Otherwise, we are out.